Douluo, starting with a 9-curve vine dragon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101, Encirclement and Suppression of Xiaotian Sect, Chaotic Battle. Part. This heavy pressure made the 4th and 5th elders of Xiaotian Sect dare not be careless. The 7th soul ring on their bodies lit up, and they directly used their martial soul true body to fight with the dragons and snakes in front of them. The explosive power of the two Xiaotian real bodies enabled them to gain the upper hands in the collision between the two of them and the dragon and snake. But when the dragons and snakes withstood the initial outbursts of the two elders of the Xiaotian Sect, the battle scene fell into a tense situation with both sides evenly matched. A martial spirit like the clear sky hammer is used in a bold and aggressive manner, taking the approach of overcoming all obstacles with one force, and is not good at coordinating with each other. Therefore, the 4th elder and the 5th elder of Xiaotian Sect fought together, and achieved the effect of 1 + 1 being less than 2. This gradually made the situation favor the Longsh couple. There are 3 battlefields at the bottom of the cliff. The dragon-snake couple suppressed the 2 elders of the Xiaotian Sect. Another place, a rocky beach in the valley. The old butler Yu Yuan displayed his star true body, covering the rocky beach in the starry sky. The 5th soul skill, Xiaotian, is activated in the Xiaotian martial soul. The 9 soul rings represent 9 stars, among which the star corresponding to the 100,000-year soul ring surrounds the old butler. The remaining 8 stars each separated 4 stars to fight against the 2nd and 3rd elders of Xiaotian Sect, and suppressed them both firmly. The horrific aftermath of the battle shattered the rocks on the rocky beach into powder, which was swept into the rushing stream and disappeared. The 2nd elder of the Xiaotian Sect held the Xiaotian hammer in the state of Xiaotian's true body, resisting the 4 stars with ever-changing attacks. At this moment, his mood, like himself, had fallen to the bottom. What he was most worried about finally came true. This old man with the star martial soul had a soul power of at least level 96, or even level 97. Today, I'm afraid that none of us 5 old guys can leave, but fortunately the fire of the sect was evacuated, and the inheritance of the Xiaotian Sect will not be extinct. The other party has been reluctant to use all his strength, and even left a star to protect his body. This is to prevent us from using a tactic that would result in mutual destruction. However, this is exactly what I want. We should delay the battle as long as possible to buy them more time to retreat. Dense forests in the valley. The 9-bend vine dragon carried Lin Rong through the forest. The 7th elder of the Xiaotian Sect chased closely behind, cursing loudly, "Little kid, don't run if you dare." Lin Rong did not respond to this until the 9-bend vine dragon flew deep into the forest and stopped. Then he responded, "Run? Who said I was going to run? I am merely selecting the battleground." Warm reminder, next, you should think about how to survive longer in my hands. As he spoke, 2 yellow, 2 purple and 1 black, a total of 5 soul rings appeared on Lin Rong. Of these 5 spirit rings, except for the 2nd yellow spirit ring, the other 4 spirit rings lit up almost at the same time. Dragon Soul Clone, Dragon Soul Awakening, Blue River shining in the blue sky, Dragon roaring in the thunder world. With the support of the 4 Dao soul skills, Lin Rong's own soul power instantly soared to the level of Soul Douluo. On the other hand, the soul power of the 7th elder of the Xiaotian Sect was suppressed by 20% by the Tenglong domain, and the soul power strength dropped from the peak of level 89 to just over level 80. With this increase and decrease, Lin Rong has surpassed the 7th elder of Xiaotian Sect. In terms of soul power strength, Lin Rong used the Blue Silver Emperor Soul Bone skill to fly in the air, and 2 9-curved vine dragons circled on his left and right. The dense forest around him had been replaced by banyan trees at some point, and the sky blue thunder barrier enveloped them. The next moment, the wind howled violently, and countless banyan leaves turned into a storm of flying blades and attacked the 7 elders of the Xiaotian Sect. The intensive attacks made it impossible for the 7 elders of Xiaotian Sect to resist them all. The exposed skin and the black robes on their bodies were all cut by the sharp banyan leaves, and a large amount of blood oozed out, dyeing the black robes red. "Little brat, you forced me to do this." The 7th elder of Xiaotian Sect was too embarrassed to admit his pride at first, thinking that there was no need to use his spirit body to deal with a little kid. But at this moment, he couldn't care less. If he continued to care about his face, he would almost lose his life. Then, the 6th and 7th soul rings on his body lit up one after another, and the clear sky hammer split into 2 in his hand. and then grew larger at the same time. The seventh elder of the Xiaotian sect held two Xiaotian hammers in the form of martial spirit avatars and swung them in his hands. The powerful soul power and wind pressure shattered the banyan leaves. Little kid, you are not the only one who has a soul clone. Also, don't think that I can't do anything to you just because you can fly. Come down to me. As he spoke, the fifth soul ring on the body of the seventh elder of the Xiaotian sect lit up. The air around him suddenly became heavy, and a mighty power as strong as a mountain emanated from him in the air. Lin Rong felt that his body seemed to become unusually heavy and began to show a tendency to fall. Gravity control. Lin Rong thought, in the original novel, this person does have such a spirit skill, and it once caused Tang San to suffer a great loss. However, the gravity control granted by the 10,000-year spirit ring is not a restricted flying ability. It is a bit naive to expect me to lose my ability to fly. Therefore, Lin Rong increased the soul power output of the flying soul skill, thereby offsetting the pulling effect of gravity control on the ground. The seventh elder of Xiaotian sect was shocked to see that Lin Rong was not crushed by the double gravity, but he soon figured out something. I originally thought that this kid's flying ability was a soul skill granted by one of his 5 soul rings. The gravity control of my 10,000-year soul ring is enough to suppress him, but now it seems that his flying ability is probably a natural ability of his martial spirit, which is why he is not afraid of my gravity control. However, there is another possibility, that is, this flying ability is a soul skill granted by an extremely old 10,000-year soul bone. Thinking of this, a trace of greed inevitably arose in his heart. Kill people and take their bones, then absorb the 10,000-year soul bones to improve your qualifications to break through the bottleneck of level 90, and thereby break through to the realm of title Douluo. The murderous intention of the seventh elder of Xiaotian sect towards Lin Rong made the greed in his heart grow rapidly and strengthened his inner thoughts. Huh? Are you trying to kill me and take my bones? In the air, Lin Rong saw a flash of greed in the eyes of the seventh elder of Xiaotian sect. In addition, he sensed the change in the other party's emotions and instantly understood what the other party was thinking. Humph, old man, if you want to kill people and steal treasures, you have to have the strength to do so. The greed of the seventh elder of Xiaotian sect made Lin Rong lose his patience to continue to waste time with him in the thunder barrier. A large amount of thunder power gathered together, and under Lin Rong's control, it skipped the first stage of Thunder Prison, Heavenly Punishment, and directly entered the second stage, the true form of Thunder Dragon. End of this chapter. Chapter 102, Encirclement and Suppression of Xiaotian Sect, Chaotic Battle. Part, not good. The seventh elder of Xiaotian Sect said secretly, although he didn't know what these thunder powers were nurturing. The destructive aura emitted by the thunder made him feel uneasy from the bottom of his heart, so the seventh elder used his fifth soul skill, Gravity Control, to reduce his own gravity, and leaped into the air with 2 clear sky hammers in his hands, intending to destroy the thunder dragon that was taking shape. Break it for me. The seventh elder snorted coldly, and the third spirit ring on his body suddenly flashed, and a layer of black light spread throughout his body. When the black light dissipated, the seventh elder's thin and tall figure became sturdy and strong, and the 2 clear sky hammers in his hands suddenly doubled in size. The seventh elder was seen spinning in the air, with 2 clear sky hammers cutting through the air, producing a huge, ear-piercing sound just as the clear sky hammer in his hand was about to hit the thunder dragon that was condensing. Suddenly countless banyan tree roots broke out of the ground and ramped up the nascent thunder dragon without leaving any space. Thump! A muffled sound was heard. The clear sky hammer struck the extremely resilient roots of the banyan tree and rebounded the tremendous force a little, causing the seventh elder, who was caught off guard, to be blown away by the rebound force. There was also a cut on the base of his right hand, and blood was flowing down the handle of the hammer. The seventh elder steadied himself in the air and landed on the ground. His face looked very ugly, and he cursed inwardly. Damn it! I didn't expect that this kid's martial spirit could actually restrain my clear sky hammer. A hammer is a blunt weapon, powerful but lacking the sharpness of a sword. If you encounter something hard, you can just use brute force to break it. However, if you encounter something extremely flexible, you will be restrained just like now. His clear sky hammer could not hurt those banyan tree roots that appeared from nowhere. If only my martial soul was the 7 killing swords of the 7 treasure glazed sword master, I would be able to cut off those damn tree roots. For the first time in his life, The seventh elder had the idea that the clear sky hammer spirit was inferior to the other spirits. This idea was so absurd that he just thought about it and quickly drove the idea out of his mind. In the sky, Lin Rong looked at the scene indifferently and said in a calm tone, "It's rare that you tell the truth. Clear sky hammer is indeed inferior to the 7 killing swords. If Tang Chen hadn't created the reputation of clear sky hammer, this kind of martial spirit with nothing special about it wouldn't be worthy of the honor of being the world's #1 weapon martial spirit." As soon as these words were spoken, a dragon roar was heard. The condensed thunder dragon flew out from the roots of the banyan tree and hovered in the air in front of the seventh elder on the ground. The mighty dragon power oppressed the seventh elder, forcing him to take a few steps back. "Little kid, how many soul bones do you have?" Feeling the might of the thunder dragon, the seventh elder couldn't help but ask the questions in his mind. He was certain that when Lin Rong used this soul skill just now, no soul ring lit up, which meant that this soul skill must have come from the soul bone. Moreover, judging from the aura emanating from the giant thunder dragon in front of him, the soul bone must be at least tens of thousands of years old. Hearing this, Lin Rong simply replied, "A dead person doesn't need to know so much." After saying this, the thunder dragon, under his control, delivered a fatal blow to the seventh elder of the Xiaotian sect on the ground. After hearing this, the 7 elders on the ground saw that the thunder dragon, which brought him an extremely dangerous aura, was releasing its ultimate move. They did not care to be angry and also used all their strength to deal with the thunder dragon's next attack. The 8th soul ring on his body burst into dazzling light, and the 2 clear sky hammers in his hands suddenly burned with the blazing flames, like 2 blazing suns. Then, the 2 clear sky hammers, as blazing as the sun, merged into one under the control of the 7th elder, and collided with the oncoming fatal blow of the thunder dragon in an instant. The aftermath of the collision of the 2 forces quickly spread to every corner of the thunder barrier. When this force reached Lin Rong's position, 2 9-curved vine dragons surrounded him and helped him resist the impact of the remaining force. The center of the force collision. At first, the 2 forces were equally matched, but as time went on, the power contained in the scorching sun was constantly consumed in the collision, and the 7th elder's own soul power was also rapidly decreasing. Unable to maintain the power supply of this attack, however, the power of the thunder dragon is constantly replenished by the thunder barrier, and Lin Rong's own soul power is also replenished by the life dragon soul that constantly draws the life force of the surrounding dense forest trees, always maintaining its peak strength. The soul clone is a really good thing. In the sky, Lin Rong muttered, "It is because of this supreme soul skill that I have the strength I have today. It is also because of this soul skill that this old man can compete with my killer move. It is because this spirit skill is extremely difficult to obtain, otherwise the world would have long been dominated by weapon spirits, and there would be no place for beast spirits." Below, the 2 attacks confronted each other for more than 10 seconds, until the 7th elder's soul power was completely exhausted and the balance was instantly broken. The thunder dragon, whose body was shining with purple-blue lightning power, slapped away the clear sky hammer that was as blazing as the sun with one claw, and the next moment it turned into a swift shadow of lightning and pierced through the body of the 7th elder in front of his extremely astonished gaze. The destructive power of thunder destroyed his body and soul in an instant, and as soon as he fell to the ground, he turned into dust and was blown away by the wind. "I did it even leave my soul guide behind? I was so careless." Lin Rong looked at the empty ground, patted his forehead and said, "I forgot that not everyone's soul guide is of such high quality that it can withstand this level of attack." Titan's soul guide was of decent quality. In addition, he was in the state of his martial soul's true body, which helped the soul guide to withstand most of the attack power. That's why he was able to escape the disaster. Be careful next time, otherwise you won't gain anything every time you kill an enemy. That would be a huge loss. After saying that, Lin Rong looked up at the top of the valley above the heavy clouds. The life breath of the person who possessed the clear sky hammer spirit no longer existed. Very good, mission accomplished. A title Douluo like Dugubo who plays with poison is very efficient in cleaning up the trash. Grandpa Yu is also steadily suppressing the 2 elders of Xiaotian sect. However, the battle over there with the dragon snake couple is not going smoothly. The edge of the valley there was only one of the 2 Xiaotian sect elders left at this moment, and the other had fallen to the ground, lifeless. The 5th elder of Xiaotian sect leaned against the stone wall in a miserable state, gasping for breath, his eyes red as he stared ahead with wide eyes. At this time, the dragon snake couple was not in good condition either. Due to the huge consumption of their soul power, They were forced to cancel the state of soul fusion. The couple supported each other. Although their faces were pale, they still stared at the fifth elder of Xiaotian sect who had his arm broken by them, and did not dare to relax for a moment in the battle just now. If the fourth elder who had already died had not sacrificed himself to save the fifth elder at the critical moment, it would have been impossible. The fifth elder would not just lose an arm, but would end up dead in the wilderness like the fourth elder. Similarly, that attack also consumed a large amount of the dragon snake couple's soul power, and they were unable to continue to maintain the existence of the martial soul fusion technique. Damn. It's just a little bit short. Meng Shu's face was filled with resentment, and he thought to himself, right now, only one of the two mission objectives has been solved, so we can only get one of the two 10,000-year soul bones. No, there must be some way to deal with the old thing in front of us. We must not let that 10,000-year soul bone fly away. End of this chapter. Chapter 103, Encirclement and Suppression of Xiaotian Sect, ending. As Meng Shu was thinking this, a ray of green lightning struck the fifth elder of Xiaotian sect, who had no ability to resist. Who is it? Meng Shu turned his head back angrily. When he saw who it was, his expression changed instantly. He asked in surprise, Sir, have you dealt with the elder of the Xiaotian sect? While Lin Rong was collecting the soul guides left behind by the 5 elders of the Xiaotian sect, he said, Nonsense. If that old guy wasn't dead, would he let me come over? Also, you two have only completed half of this mission. Therefore, there is only one 10,000-year soul bone. You decide who to give it to. As he spoke, Lin Rong took out the right leg bone of a 33,000-year-old twin lotus and threw it to Meng Shu. Meng Shu, who took over the 10,000-year soul bone, suddenly felt regretful and disappeared like bubbles, and was replaced by endless joy. It doesn't matter if it's a piece or a piece. Fortunately, I made a desperate decision just now and delivered that attack that consumed a huge amount of soul power. Otherwise, if you deal with that useless Chang Xiaotian sect elder and we haven't solved any of our targets yet, we won't even be able to get the reward of a soul bone. Meng Shu, smiling as brightly as a chrysanthemum, carefully put away the soul bone and sat on the ground with his wife Zhou Xiangxiang to recover their soul power. After Lin Rong rewarded the soul bones, he came alone to the battlefield covered by the starry sky. Because this place is shrouded by the starry sky, the two remaining elders of the Xiaotian sect are still unaware of what is happening in the outside world. So, when they saw Lin Rong appearing here, they thought that he was being chased by Lao Qi and could only flee here to seek the protection of this old man with unfathomable strength. After seeing his young master, the old butler Yu Yuan immediately realized that his battle was the only one that had not been resolved in this valley. The spirit power of these two old guys from the Xiaotian sect has been almost exhausted. Even if they want to die together, they don't have the ability to do it now. Now, it's time to end this battle. After thinking about it, the 9th star that had been circling around him turned into a stream of light and disappeared, appearing beside the young master and protecting him. Then, it seemed as if star-like bone marrow was flowing in his torso. The starry sky echoed with it, and the starlight gathered together to condense into 2 drops of blue star dew. This is one of the 2 soul bone skills of the 10,000-year 9-grade Ginseng King's trunk bone, condensing stars and casting jade. The only 2 remaining elders of the Xiaotian sect were each entangled by 4 stars and could only watch each other perform that unknown soul bone skill. Star type martial souls, no matter what soul skills they have, are all so brilliant and dazzling. Just as Lin Rong was sighing, the 2 drops of star dew had already penetrated the space and hit the bodies of the 2 elders of the Xiaotian sect. Why is this spirit skill so ineffective? At first, the 2nd elder and the 3rd elder were puzzled about the effect of the spirit skill. However, before they could finish thinking about this, they discovered something wrong with their bodies. Both their bodies and clothes were rapidly transforming into beautiful jade as transparent as stars. Seeing this, they hurriedly circulated their soul power to fight against the jade-like power in their bodies. However, the soul power of both of them had already been consumed too much in the previous battle. At this moment, there was very little soul power left in their bodies. Faced with the overbearing power that penetrated into their bodies, this tiny bit of soul power could not shake it in the slightest. At the last moment when the 2nd elder's consciousness was about to fade away, a final thought flashed through his mind. Is this the end of my life? That's fine, as long as the sect still retains the spark of hope. Afterwards, he, like the 3rd elder, was completely transformed into a lifelike jade sculpture of a human. The star-casting jade is different from Medusa's gaze. The petrification effect caused by Medusa's gaze can be restored and reversed. However, the jadeification caused by condensed star jade is irreversible. Even if there are soul masters and soul beasts that can resist the effects of this soul skill, the part of the body that has been jadeified can only be cut off, and then the lost flesh and blood can be restored with a power similar to the regeneration of a broken limb. Therefore, the two Xiaotian sect elders in front of Lin Rong who had completely turned into jade carvings were confirmed to be dead. The battle was over, and the old butler put away his true form of the star. The starry sky then dissipated, and the scene on the rocky beach reconnected with the valley. Grown ups, Lin Rong was lamenting the two soul guides that had been turned into jade when he heard Dugubo's voice coming from above the clouds. A few seconds later, Dugubo landed in the valley from the clouds and mist, came to Lin Rong's side, rubbed his hands and asked, "Sir, I have successfully completed the mission. Do you think the reward for this mission can be redeemed? Take it." Lin Rong guessed what Dugubo wanted to say before he spoke, so before Dugubo finished speaking, he took out the 40,000-year-old left arm bone and threw it to him, and then instructed, "Dugubo, I thought about it and realized that you completed the task too easily this time, so I'll give you another task. Do you see these two jade carvings? I want you to quietly deliver them to Tang Yuho, who is bedridden. If Tang Yuho died of excessive grief, that would be the best. If not, you should know what to do. Remember, this matter must be done cleanly. No traces related to this can be left, so as not to arouse the suspicion of the royal family." Jade carving. Dugubo looked in the direction Lin Rong pointed, and two transparent white jade sculptures came into view. Is this petrification? Jadeification? Dugubo walked forward to investigate, and couldn't help but be surprised. Damn! It has completely lost its life characteristics. It is much more powerful than my soul bone skill. Medusa's gaze. After putting the two jade carvings into the soul guide, Dugubo replied to Lin Rong, "I understand. If Tang Yuho didn't die from excessive grief, she had to use external force to make it look like she died of illness. This is not a difficult matter for me. My lord, please rest assured and wait for the news of Tang Yuho's death to spread in Xiandao City." Yet, Lin Rong shook the two soul guides he got from the 4th and 5th elders of Xiaotian sect and said casually, "Get this done. When I have some free time later, I will have a big surprise for you." The huge surprise he mentioned was to take Dugubo with him to destroy the Pazi clan. After he subdued Yang Wudi, he asked Yang Wudi to treat the poison in Dugubo's body, but he could only do this after he reached level 60. In order to make Yang Wudi convinced, he must be stronger than him in martial arts. Although Lin Rong can beat him now, Yang Wudi's soul-breaking spear has a sharp attribute, which happens to restrain the banyan tree roots of the 9-curved vine dragon. The power of the first stage of Thunder Prison, heavenly punishment, may not be able to defeat him, but the second stage of the Thunder Dragon's true form can do it. But Yang Wudi would not allow the true form of the Thunder Dragon to condense smoothly at present. The banyan tree roots are unable to withstand the sharpness of the soul breaking spear in Yang Wudi's hand, and are unable to protect the Thunder Dragon's true form from condensing smoothly. The only way to defeat Yang Wudi is to resort to a war of attrition, which is embarrassing, but he, who has only 5 soul rings, cannot do that. After he breaks through level 60 and obtains the 6th soul ring, Lin Rong will be confident that he can defeat Yang Wudi head on. By then, he would be able to successfully subdue Yang Wudi by giving him a few rare herbs picked from the yin-yang eyes of ice and fire, which were second only to immortal herbs. End of this chapter. Chapter 104. Uninvited guests at the funeral. 3 days later, Xiandao Royal Soul Master Academy, Forest Mimicry Training Ground. Tang Sen, who was practicing Zhuan, was interrupted by Tai Long, who came hurriedly and told him the news from Yu Yuan at a very fast speed. "Young master, something terrible has happened. Your aunt couldn't survive her serious illness and has passed away." After hearing this, Tang Sen did not show the shocked expression that Talon had imagined. Instead, he looked dazed for a moment before returning to normal. Seeing this, Tyrone felt a chill in his heart. Although he suspected that his grandfather's disappearance was related to Tang Yuhua, he even felt relieved when he heard the news. However, Tang Sen is different. Tang Yuhua is his biological aunt and they are related by blood. Moreover, Tang Yuhua was so good to Tang Sen, but after he heard the news, his expression reacted so indifferently. "Young master is so cold-hearted. Does our Li clan really have a bright future if we follow him? Grandpa, where have you been? The Li family cannot live without you, the pillar of the family." Tai Long thought so in his heart and lowered his head to avoid Tang San. Seeing his melancholy expression, Tang San, who got up from the ground, did not notice anything unusual about Tai Long, because he had never looked directly at this follower who was always available at his beck and call. Ever since Tang San experienced that inexplicable grief over a month ago, he has become extremely indifferent to matters of the heart. Perhaps this is Tang San's nature. A cold-blooded killer who was raised by the Tang sect since childhood should not have any extra emotions. Those abundant emotions before seemed to be given by this body itself. After the death of this body's parents Tang Hao and the Blue Silver Empress, the abundant emotions in his heart also dissipated. Therefore, when Tang San learned the news of Tang Yuhua's death, the first thing that came to his mind was not sadness, but to accept the inheritance left by his aunt as soon as possible. Although most of my aunt's funds were used to support the Xiaotian sect, she must have accumulated a lot of savings over the years. Also, Yuxun's building is located on the most prosperous street in the center of Xiandao City. If we sell it, we will definitely make a lot of money. Day 2. A grand funeral was held in a cemetery on the outskirts of Xiandao City. Tang Yuhua was a top figure in the Xiandao aristocracy during his lifetime. Not only was the funeral grand, but all the nobles in Xiandao City were present. Even Emperor Zuya made a symbolic appearance at the beginning of the funeral to show the royal family's attention and concern for the funeral. Soon, the flower-laying ceremony began in the beautiful cemetery. The nobles present were dressed in solemn black suits and lined up in an orderly manner, presenting a bouquet of white chrysanthemums in their hands one by one and piling them around the coffin. The order of the queue is based on the status of the people. The 4 people in the front are Prince Zuzing, Crown Prince Zuking, 4th Prince Zubang, and Princess Zuke of the royal family. Following closely behind were the 7 treasures: Glazed Tile Sect Master Ning Fengzi and Junior Sect Master Ning Rongrong. Ning Fengzi walked to the coffin and put down a bunch of white chrysanthemums, then came to Tang San, who was standing beside him, and comforted him softly like an elder. Master Tang, please accept my condolences. The Tang sect cannot do without you as its leader, so please don't hurt yourself. After hearing this, Tang San didn't say anything, but just nodded expressionlessly to indicate that he had heard these words. Seeing Tang San's appearance, Ning Fengzi blinked with a trace of confusion in his eyes, thinking, strange, how come Tang San has changed so much emotionally after not seeing him for over a month? Also, Tang Yuhu has been seriously ill for so many days, and there is no news from the Xiaotian sect. Even during this funeral, Uncle Jian did not find any traces of the Tang Xiao and Tang Hao brothers. What on earth happened? No, I have to send someone to investigate immediately. At this time, Ning Rongrong placed a bunch of white chrysanthemums in front of the coffin and walked to her father's side. Then, Ning Fengzi smiled politely at Tang San and took his daughter back to the funeral seat to watch the ceremony. After that, it was the turn of the 3 hereditary dukes of the empire to come forward and present flowers. In such occasions, when people of equal status are of equal rank, the older one is, the higher his status is. Among the 3 hereditary dukes, Lin Rong is the youngest, so he ranks behind Duke Bai and Duke Shi. After presenting the flowers, Lin Rong smiled at Tang San as she walked in front of him, as innocent as a real 10-year-old child. When Tang San saw this smile, he instantly recalled what happened at his 9th birthday party 2 years ago. He gritted his teeth and veins bulged on his clenched fists. After returning to his seat, the old butler who was waiting beside the seat moved his lips slightly and said, "Young master, I have sensed the presence of Platinum Bishop Sereth of the Spirit Hall. He is heading here with a group of people." Lin Rong sat in his seat and listened, and secretly transmitted the message. "Yes, Grandpa Yu, I sensed it too. Sereth was not invited to the funeral at all. The old man must be very angry because he was humiliated. The funeral has already begun. He came uninvited to cause trouble. However, since the royal family dared to do this, they must have made sufficient preparations. This is a face-saving battle between the Xiandao imperial family and the Spirit Hall. We can just sit back and watch. As long as the fire doesn't burn us, we can just treat it as a good show." After hearing this, the old butler replied in a voice transmission, "Yes, I understand." Lin Rong sat upright at his seat, his eyes moving back and forth between Tang San and the 4 members of the royal family, and suddenly an idea came to his mind. Tang San has a dragon whisker needle hidden in his fingernails. When the situation gets chaotic later, we can make a move secretly, so that the royal family will inadvertently notice that Tang San has such a hidden weapon. In this way, Tang San will bear the blame for stealing from the national treasury. Zhu Yi doesn't know that the Xiaotian sect has been destroyed by me. He will bite his teeth and swallow this blood loss because he is afraid of Tang San's background. Although this move cannot have any substantial impact on Tang San, it will undoubtedly undermine the trust foundation of cooperation between the royal family and the Tang sect. By curbing the development of the Tang sect in this way, we can avoid some unnecessary losses when we destroy it in the future. The flower-laying ceremony continued. After the hereditary nobles presented flowers, it was the turn of several non-hereditary dukes to come forward and present flowers at this time. The Platinum Bishop of the Spirit Hall, Salus, led a team of people to the cemetery, and his arrogant voice resounded everywhere. "Wow! It's really lively." Seraph clapped his hands and walked slowly inside with a fake smile on his face, saying, "How come you didn't inform me of such a lively event? Did you forget it by accident, or do you no longer care about the reputation of the Spirit Hall?" At the end of his speech, the fake smile on Seraph's face disappeared, replaced by a look of indifference in the cemetery. On the seat, no one from the royal family expressed their opinion. Ning Fengzi did not want to be the first to be criticized. Lin Rong watched the show with great interest, and the others did not dare to confront the Spirit Hall, so the scene fell into silence. "Oops." Seraph pretended to be surprised and walked to the coffin, shook his head and said, "Look, you see, without informing me in advance, I was unable to prepare a bouquet of white chrysanthemums for Madame Yu, but this flower must be presented. What should I do?" End of this chapter. Chapter 105 Bloody Funeral. "It's better this way," Seraph said as he took out a bunch of bright red strange flowers from his soul guide. "This red flower is extremely gorgeous and has no leaves on the calyx. Such obvious and distinct features made everyone who saw this flower couldn't help but frown. I happen to have a bunch of red spider lilies with me, so I'll give it to Madame Yu." As Seraph spoke, he threw the bunch of red spider lilies in his hand in front of the coffin. The red spider lily fell from the air, but was knocked away by an arrow and fell on the ground nearby in the first row of seats. Zhu King removed his hand from the arrow on his wrist, stood up, and asked, looking ahead, "Bishop Seraph, aren't you going too far?" The anger in her tone did not seem fake, but came from Jinring Su's heart. Kyank Sunji was devoured by a BB Dong and ended up with no remains left. Without a body to bury, they could only build a cenotaph for him. The young Jinring Su attended her father's funeral at the time and was deeply moved by this. In her opinion, since the person has passed away, scenes like funerals should be sacred and inviolable. No matter how many grudges there were in life, one should not come to make trouble at this time, let alone do such an excessive thing. The funeral brought back sad memories for her, and she felt very uncomfortable as it reminded her of her father's funeral. To Jinring Su, Seraph's action seemed like a provocation to her, even though she knew that Seraph didn't know her true identity. Therefore, when Salus dropped a bunch of red spider lilies just now, Jinring Su, who did not want to expose her strength, used the Tang sect's hidden weapon, the sleeve arrow, to shoot down the red spider lilies falling from the air. Others don't know the reasons. In the eyes of Zhu Xing and Zhu Beng, Zhu Qing's move is to win over Tang San. Therefore, Zhu Xing, who wanted to wait until things reached a climax before coming out, could only stand up in advance and said to Seraph, "Bishop Seraph, the royal knights are guarding outside the cemetery. If you want to offer flowers, I will order a knight to pick a bunch of white chrysanthemums immediately. Why do you have to offer this ominous red spider lily?" After hearing this, Seraph knew that Zhu Xing was threatening him, but he didn't want to fall out with him and stir up disputes between the Xian Dao royal family and the Spirit Hall, so he said it in this way. He acted like this to show off because he was humiliated. Besides, now is not the time to fall out with the Xian Dao royal family. Since Zhu Xing gave him a way out, Salus was happy to go down the stairs. However, just as Seraph was about to speak, Tang San's cold voice sounded, "A country has its own laws, and a family has its own rules. Since Bishop Say made a mistake, how can we just cover it up so easily? Where will Xian Dao's reputation be, Prince Zhu Xing? His Majesty also showed up at my aunt's funeral. Don't you think this undermines the dignity of the royal family?" These words made everyone present change their expressions. In the second row of seats, there were only 3 hereditary dukes. The martial spirits of the Bai and Shi families are both defensive, and the saying that rivals are enemies also applies here, as Duke Bai and Duke Shi don't like each other. Therefore, the oldest white duke should have sat in the middle, but because the two of them didn't get along, Lin Rong sat in the middle to separate them. After hearing what Tang San said, they both turned their heads and looked at each other at the same time, then looked away in disgust. Between the two, Lin Rong watched this scene with great interest, thinking, It seems that Tang San only learned some basic etiquette from Tang Yuhua, and did not learn any social etiquette at all. Maybe Tang Yuhua wanted to wait until Tang San grows up before teaching him, but she is no longer destined to do so. Sitting in the first row were only 4 members of the royal family, the Ning family father and daughter, and the sword Douluo who was protecting Ning Fengzi closely. Ning Fengzi sighed slightly, and considering the hidden weapon cooperation between their sect and the Tang sect, he had to stand up to smooth over the situation. Bishop, say, please be patient. Tang San is just a child under 11 years old. What he said is just childish nonsense. Don't take it to heart. While saying this openly, Ning Fengzi secretly used his soul power to transmit a message to Tang San to let him bow his head and show weakness temporarily, as there will be many ups and downs in the future. However, Ning Fengzi's message was like talking to a deaf person to Tang San, who had already regained his original nature. Bishop, say. Tang San was full of confidence because of the support he got from nowhere, and he kept insisting, I wonder if you dare to bet with me. If you lose, I want you to kneel down and kowtow 3 times. Do you dare to bet? Such arrogant words not only confused Sarath, but everyone present except Lin Rong also dared not believe what they heard with their own ears. Even Ning Fengzi was shouting in his heart that Tang San was beyond help, so he simply returned to his seat and ignored it. Arhahoha, Salas came back to his senses and laughed in anger. The pressure of Soul Douluo level was released from him, directly pressing Tang San to the ground and spitting blood. Bet? You want me to kneel down and kowtow 3 times, humph? Who do you think you are? You don't even know how much you are capable of. You are not worthy enough to bet with this bishop. The pressure released by Sarath was just right, only causing Tang San to vomit blood, but not endangering his life. After all, he didn't want to accidentally kill Tang San and then live in fear of Tang Hao's revenge all day long. He is a ruthless man who even dares to fight the Pope. Although Salas is the Platinum Bishop of the Spirit Hall, if Tang Hao can't do anything to the Spirit Hall, can he not do anything to him? Hateful. On the ground, Tang San struggled to raise his head, his eyes filled with murderous intent, and said secretly, you are bullying the weak and have no moral principles. Sarath, you are ready to die? In the second row of seats, seeing that Tang San's anger seemed to suppress his reason, Lin Rong knew that the time had come. Invisible mental power was released from Lin Rong's mind. At the moment when Tang San's anger reached its peak, the mental power turned into sharp thorns and pierced Tang San's sea of consciousness. The pain in his sea of consciousness caused the anger in Tang San's heart to suppress his reason in an instant. He instinctively fought back, adding soul power to the dragon whisker needle hidden in his fingernails and fired it at Sarath with the 10 fingers of both hands. 10 streams of light drew like golden tracks in the air. Upon seeing this, Salas, who had long heard of the fame of the Tang sect's hidden weapons, immediately released a soul power shield. Ding ding ding. The golden light collided with his soul power shield, making 10 tiny sounds, and finally fell to the ground. Haha. I thought it was something else, but this is it. Salas picked up a golden particle from the ground, held it in his hand to examine it, and after injecting soul power into it, the golden particle immediately turned into golden thread. Seeing this, Sarath curiously touched the golden thread with his fingertips, and the sharp dragon beard needle pierced his finger. What? A sharp thing? Salas sighed in his heart, and after retracting his soul power, he found that the golden threads had turned back into golden particles. Being knowledgeable, he immediately thought of what effect would be caused if this thing was shot into the human body. What? A vicious hidden weapon. What a ruthless boy. The furious Sarath wanted to kill Tang San for a moment, but in the end he was worried about Tang Hao, who he didn't know was already dead, and barely suppressed the murderous intent in his heart. In the first row of seats among the 4 royal family members, the expressions on Zhu Xing and Zhu Qing's faces instantly became very interesting after seeing the dragon beard needles. End of this chapter. Chapter 106. Ownership of the estate. A year ago, during the Continental Advanced Soul Master Elite competition, during the monthly routine inspection of the National Treasury, the chief financial officer of the palace discovered that the national treasure, the Hanheikan Kunzeo, which should have been displayed on the central altar in the central collection room of the National Treasury, had disappeared and was mysteriously stolen. There were no traces of the theft at the scene except for a dozen golden particles under the altar. Since this matter concerned the dignity of the royal family, the chief financial officer did not make a big fuss about it, but reported the matter to Emperor Ziyi in silence after learning that the national treasure was stolen. Emperor Ziyi was shocked and angry. He also ordered Prince Zhu Xing and Crown Prince Zhu King to investigate the matter and bring the thief to justice. Therefore, currently the only 4 people in the entire royal family who know about the theft in the national treasury are Emperor Zhu Yi, the palace chief financial officer, Prince Zhu Xing, and Crown Prince Zhu King. The only clue to the case was a dozen golden particles left at the crime scene. Zhu Xing and Zhu King searched for more than a year based on this single clue, but they still found nothing, not to mention the progress of the case. They couldn't even figure out what those golden particles were. There is no way. The dragon beard needle is a rare crystal that can only be formed in the plate crystal hair crystal, and only blacksmiths above the master level know it in today's era. Blacksmiths have a low status, and master level blacksmiths are basically concentrated in Jiangxin City. Even if Zhu Xing and Zhu King took the golden particles to Xiandao City and asked the blacksmith what it was, ordinary blacksmiths would not be able to recognize the source of the golden particles. Looking at the golden particles of Sereth's footsteps, Zhu King's eyes flashed with surprise, and he thought, interesting. I never thought that the person who stole the national treasure would be Tang San, but how did he do it? He was able to get past the many anti-theft barriers of the treasury and steal the national treasure quietly. Also, what was Tang San's motive for stealing the national treasure? I have been lurking in the Zhu family for so many years, and I only know that the thing is very valuable, but I have no idea what its specific use is. Zhu Xing looked at the scene in front of him, and many possibilities suddenly popped up in his mind, but he and Zhu King thought the same thing. They both believed that Tang San was the mysterious thief who stole the national treasure. However, it was impossible for the royal family to make public the scandal of the theft of the national treasure, and Tang San's identity was quite special. Therefore, the uncle and nephew actually reached a tacit agreement on the same thing, which was to tell Zhu Yi about the matter after returning and let him decide how to deal with it. However, the occurrence of this incident meant that Tang San could not possibly marry Zhu Ke, and the relationship between the royal family and the Tang clan would not be too close. So, Zhu Xing and Zhu King sat back in their seats tacitly, ignoring what was happening and letting it develop. Ning Fengzi noticed this change and immediately cast his sharp eyes on the golden particles that caused this change. A trace of sadness flashed across his face, and he thought, it's really a turbulent time, and this is another unexpected thing that happened. What's going on lately? Why are all these things beyond my expectations? The storm is coming, and the water is turbulent. Is this continent going to change? If the world really changes, what will happen to our 7 treasures glazed tile sect? The other side. Sereth was in a dilemma at the moment. Zhu Xing and Zhu King's sudden indifference towards Tang San made him confused and at a loss for what to do. For a moment, damn it, why don't they all play by the rules? If you, the royal family, don't come to smooth things over, how can I get out of this situation? You think I dare not kill Tang San, right? In the end, Salus had to use his soul power to control Tang San's body and forced him to kowtow to him 3 times. Using this method to maintain his face, a great man should not bear grudges against a small man. This bishop is magnanimous. Today I will ask you to kowtow to me 3 times as a punishment. If you do it again next time, don't blame me for being rude. HMPH. Let's go. After saying that, Sereth led his entourage away. After Sereth left, the nobles who had not yet presented flowers looked at each other, and looked at Tang San lying on the ground, hesitating whether to give away the white chrysanthemums in their hands at this moment. The next day Tang San, who was recuperating in bed, had just finished drinking the bitter medicine soup and handed the bowl to Tai Long, who was serving him. He inadvertently noticed that Tai Long's expression was a little unnatural, so Tang San asked casually, what happened? Well, Tai Long said hesitantly, young master, you just finished taking the medicine and need to rest. I won't disturb you anymore and will take my leave first. Tang San looked at Tai Long's hurriedly leaving back and shouted harshly, stop, I'm asking you a question. Why are you talking about something else? Why don't you tell the truth? Upon hearing this, Tai Long turned around with a bitter face to face Tang San, lowered his head and remained silent on the bed. Tang San saw that his order was ineffective, so in order to get some information out of Tai Long, he had no choice but to say, nothing, go ahead. After going through so many things, is there anything that the sect master cannot bear right now? Hearing this, Tai Long raised his head slightly and said tentatively, then I said it. Seeing Tang San nod, Tai Long told Tang San everything. Young master, all the inheritance left by your aunt, including Yuan, has been seized by the royal family. After hearing this, Tang San was a little bit unconvinced, So he asked in a questioning tone, "What are you talking about? Why did the royal family withhold the inheritance left to me by my aunt for no reason?" "Young master, it's true." Seeing that Tang San didn't believe him, Tai Long hurriedly explained, "The royal family's external reason is that Yuxun was founded with royal funding, and after Madame Yu's death, it should belong to the royal family. Not only that, but all the assets in Yuxun will also belong to the royal family." "Young master, this means that you will not get a penny from your aunt's inheritance. Finally, this is the funeral expenses list given by the royal family yesterday. You are required to pay off the debt within a limited time." Tang San, leaning on the bed, listened to these words and suddenly felt dizzy, with a constant buzzing in his ears after seeing the funeral expense list that Tai Long took out. The sky-high figures on it made Tang San's eyes go black. He spat out a mouthful of dirty blood and fell into coma. "Young master. Young master." When Tai Long saw Tang San fall into coma, he regretted telling this matter to others. After shaking for a long time without Tang San regaining consciousness, Tai Long immediately ran out of the room and went to the drugstore to ask the pharmacist to come and treat him. The palace. In the main hall, after receiving the news that Tang San was unconscious, Prince Zuxing asked Emperor Zui, "Royal brother, can we just let this matter go? Although Yuxun is valuable, how can it be compared with our Zhu family's Hanheikai and Kunzeo? In my opinion, we should ask Tang San to hand over the production drawings of the hidden weapons to our Zhu family, so that we can barely recover our lost national treasure." On the throne, Zuya showed no expression. He did not directly answer his brother's words, but said, "Okay, I have my own plans for this matter, so you don't need to ask any more questions. If you have time to worry about these things, you might as well focus more on the academy. In the next competition, I don't want to see the scene that happened in this competition." End of this chapter. Chapter 107 Royal Knights. After Zhu Xing left the hall, Zhu leaned on the throne and closed his eyes to rest. A vast sea universe cover has infinite uses. If it were not impossible, how could he let the national treasure fall into the hands of the Xiaotian sect? That's right, in Zhu's opinion, the mastermind behind the treasury theft was not Tang San, but the Xiaotian sect behind Tang San. Although the Xiaotian sect was forced to retreat from the world due to pressure from the Spirit Hall, as the former #1 sect in the world, its sect foundation far exceeds that of the other two sects in the top 3. Zhu believed that only the Xiaotian sect had such mysterious means to steal the national treasure from the treasury without anyone knowing, since the vast sea universe cover has fallen into the hands of the Xiaotian sect. Unless their royal family breaks off relations with the Xiaotian sect and makes the news of the theft of the national treasure known to everyone, there is absolutely no possibility of getting the national treasure back. The national treasure was stolen, and the royal family has already lost their dignity. If the matter is made into a big issue, they will lose both their dignity and their face. Therefore, Zhu had no choice but to give up the Hanheikai cover that had been passed down in their Zhu family for a long time. The detention of Yuxun was also a basic counterattack to warn Xiaotian sect to write off the matter, but not to go too far in the future. By doing this, I have cut off the financial resources of those crazy people in the Xiaotian sect. They won't do anything outrageous in a fit of rage, will they? No. In order to protect the safety of the palace these days, I want the royal knights to surround the palace tightly, otherwise I will not be able to sleep or eat well. Lin's manor. Even though it is the white dew season, the bamboos planted in the courtyard are still thriving and evergreen. The refreshing autumn breeze blew through the courtyard, blowing the bamboo leaves into the air and falling into the lotus pond, creating ripples in the pond. The 9-curved vine dragon looked at the pairs of koi swimming around and felt bored, so it sank to the bottom of the pond and fell asleep in the center of the courtyard. Under the bamboo pavilion, Lin Rong practiced multitasking as usual. He was doing a lot of things with his hands, and he also took some time to check the intelligence that had just been sent. Zhu is an orphan raised by the royal Zhu family since childhood. Because of his outstanding talent as a soul master, he was specially given the surname Zhu and the name Zhuang by the current Emperor Zhu. He is 48 years old this year, a level 78 strong attack soul saint, and has been the leader of the Shy Dou Royal Knights for 10 years. He has a very high prestige in the Knights. Zhang, as an orphan raised by the royal family since childhood, Zhu Zhang's loyalty to the royal family is probably at the same level as that of a family-born child. Moreover, this person was able to get Zhu to give him the surname Zhu, so he could be assured of handing over the position of leader of the royal knights. Zhu Zhang's loyalty is probably the most loyal among all the children born at home. The Information in the intelligence made Lin Rong give up hope of turning this person against the government, so he continued to read on. Jin Wen was born into a commoner family. His ancestors for 3 generations were imperial barons, and he was one of many impoverished nobles. He is 57 years old this year, a level 77 strong attack soul saint, and has been the deputy leader of the Xiaotian royal knights for more than 20 years. Because he is not a direct descendant of the royal family, he has never been able to become the leader. A fallen noble, this person is not a confidant of the royal family, but he can firmly sit in the position of deputy leader of the knights. His skills and character should not be underestimated. He is a capable person. Yes, there is hope of winning them over and inciting them to revolt. Take a look at the information of the other deputy leader. Zhuang Zhuan, an orphan, was rumored to be the illegitimate son of the previous Sky Dou Emperor, or a prince, because his martial soul was a mutated martial soul, the wind feather swan, and he was adopted by the royal family since he was a child. He is 72 years old this year, and is an 82nd level agility attack soul fighter. He served as the leader of the royal knights for more than 30 years. After Zhu Yi supported Zhu Zhang to take the position 10 years ago, his position was demoted to the deputy leader of the knights. Wind-feathered swan? Does it have a swan spirit with wind attributes? Haha, with a swan spirit and being adopted by the royal family since childhood, it's no wonder there are rumors that he is the illegitimate child of a great figure in the previous generation of the royal family. I don't know who Zhuang Zhuan's nominal father is. There aren't many people in the world who are qualified to be cuckolded by someone from the royal family. Lin Rong's gossip fire suddenly rose in his heart, and he continued to think, although he is a soul Douluo, his identity as a royal illegitimate child means that he cannot be used by me. Like Zhu Zhang, he must be dealt with. As for the deputy head named Jin Wen, we can contact him secretly first. A good bird chooses a good tree to roost in. If Jin Wen is able to understand current affairs, that would be great. But if he is pedantic and stubborn, he will end up like Zhu Zhang and Zhuang Zhuan. Among the 3 chief and deputy chiefs of the royal knights, Zhu Zhang, the head of the regiment, only obeys the orders of Zhu Yi. The part that Prince Zuxing controls is the knight soldiers under Zhuang Zhuan. Maybe in private, Zuxing even has to call Zhuang Zhuan his uncle. As for Deputy Captain Jin Wen, both his status in the Royal Knights and his Soul Master's soul power cultivation are the lowest among the 3. Therefore, Jin Wen's position as deputy head of the group was really unpleasant, and it was a position in name only. He only had the status of deputy head of the group, but he basically did not have much power that a deputy head of the group should have. Even if Jin Wen was loyal to the royal family at the beginning, his experiences in the Royal Knights for more than 20 years would probably freeze even the warmest heart. And twice in this case, as long as Jin Wen's ideas are not so pedantic and stubborn, and the benefits are enough, it should be easy to win him over and persuade him to defect. Lin Rong looked at the piece of white paper on the table which contained detailed information about the top leaders of the Royal Knights, and was very satisfied with Du Bo's ability to do things. Du Bo did a good job in collecting intelligence on the top leaders of the Royal Knights. It should be said that Prince Zuxing trusted Du Bo too much and disclosed such confidential information to Du Bo. Du Bo has done so many things diligently, and as his master, I should show some appreciation. It seems that I need to intensify my training recently and strive to break through to level 60 as soon as possible, so that I can take Du Bo to find Yang Wudi to detoxify him earlier. After these days, Lin Rong's own soul power level has already completed half of the progress to level 58, and is only 1.5 levels of soul power away from the level 60 mark. Lin Rong estimated that after about 3 months of training, he would be able to break through his soul power to level 60. At that time, he was only 10 years and 9 months old. A level 60 Soul Emperor who is less than 11 years old will once again refresh the historical record of this continent. Time flies and 3 months passed quickly in winter. On a snowy day in the early morning of this day, Lin Rong finally broke through his soul power from the peak of level 59 to level 60. End of this chapter. Chapter 108 Winter. The 12th lunar month of winter, the entire manor was covered with white snow, and it looked like a vast expanse of white wherever you looked deep in the manor. In a wooden house, the wind outside was freezing, making the glass windows whistle, but the indoor heating was burning brightly, making the whole house warm as spring. The sofa was covered with a thick blanket. Lin Rong sat on the sofa and drank ginger tea comfortably, keeping an eye on the 9-curved winged dragon playing in the snow outside the house. Banyan trees are not cold resistant. My martial soul, apart from the dragon soul, is not cold resistant compared to other top-level plant-based martial souls. As a martial spirit owner, I am also afraid of the cold. I just played snowballs with Xiaotian for a while and I felt too cold to bear it, although he could use his soul power to isolate himself from the cold outside. It would be meaningless if he didn't feel cold at all while having a snowball fight. If the blue-silver forest was not in the south-central part of the Sky Dou Empire, where the climate was relatively warm, Lin Rong would have wanted to wait until spring to obtain the sixth soul ring. The old housekeeper sat beside Lin Rong, brewing tea on the stove while asking in a gentle tone, "Young master, the heavy snow has blocked the road today, and the carriage can hardly pass. Moreover, according to the weather trends in previous winters, this heavy snow will probably continue to fall for several days. We won't be able to take a carriage out of the city in the next few days. Look, should we wait until the snow stops and then set out in the carriage, or should we just set out alone, master and servant?" Lin Rong listened, drank the ginger tea, handed the porcelain bowl in his hand to the old housekeeper sitting beside him, and said softly, "Grandpa Yu, it's just the two of us. It's winter, so it would be good for the driver to rest at home. For the two of us, Xiaotian can take us flying. It's not only convenient to go back and forth, but it's also much faster than taking a carriage." The old butler listened to the young master's words, filled the porcelain bowl in his hand with ginger tea for 70%, then handed the bowl to Lin Rong, who was sitting beside him with both hands, and replied, "In that case, young master, I will take care of some trivial matters in the mansion first. After that, we can set off at any time." Lin Rong took the porcelain bowl of ginger tea, nodded and said, "Well, Grandpa Yu, go ahead. I'll wait for you." After watching the old housekeeper's back disappear in the snow, Lin Rong stood by the window and turned his gaze to the 9-curved vine dragon that was having a lot of fun outdoors outside the house. The 9-bend vine dragon, which was making a snowman with great enthusiasm, suddenly sensed the gaze of its owner and looked back. Duke Lin and Rong were in tune with each other, and instantly understood the meaning of the look in their master's eyes. "Okay, stop playing and go back to the house." So, the 9-bend vine dragon left the unfinished snowman reluctantly with an unsatisfied expression and returned to the house obediently. After returning to the house, the 9-curved vine dragon shrank into a mini form and hovered on Lin Rong's left wrist, and the touch of cold dragon scales followed. "Oh my god, don't you know I'm afraid of the cold?" Lin Rong quickly put his left wrist close to the stove to warm it up and said, "Next time you play in the snow, remember to warm yourself up by the fire." While the old housekeeper was dealing with trivial matters in the mansion, Lin Rong drank ginger tea from a porcelain bowl and sorted out some of the things that had happened in the past 3 months in his mind. First, let's go to Shrek Academy. Flanders somehow convinced Yu Yuan to lead Shrek's teachers and students to leave the Bara Kingdom and travel thousands of miles to Xiandao City to find the Blue Tyrant Academy. According to the news sent back by Xinian, after meeting Liu Erlong, Yu Yuan missed Bibi Dong even more in his nightmare. For some reason Lin Rong could probably guess some of the reasons for this, although Liu Erlong deeply loves Yu Yuan. She shows a strong possessiveness and often quarrels with Yu Yuan due to her hot temper. Bibi Dong is different. Before she experienced the secret room incident, her mind is as pure as a blank sheet of paper, her personality is gentle and peaceful, and she is more considerate. It can be said that during the time when Yu Yuan was in his first love, Bibi Dong was a perfect and eloquent flower in his heart, who always put him at the center of everything and considered him the nightmare at that time aroused Yu Yuan's deep longing for Bibi Dong. Therefore, after seeing Liu Erlong, Yu Yuan couldn't help but compare the Liu Erlong at this time with a Bibi Dong in his memory. This comparison instantly revealed the difference between the two, and further aroused Yu Yuan's longing for Bibi Dong. Follow this trend in another year or so, Yu Yuan would probably no longer be able to suppress his longing for Bibi Dong and would run to Wuhan City to find his former first love and ask her about the truth of the past. At that time, the deeper Bibi Dong's love for Yu Yuan, the more difficult it will be for her to pass the 9 tests of Rakshasa. As for how long the time of becoming a god can be delayed, it depends on how much Bibi Dong loves Yu Yuan. In addition, after Yu Yuan came to Xiandao City, he learned that his idol son Tang San was not only here, but also he had a talent for cultivation and was born with full soul power. He immediately had the idea of taking him in as a disciple with the blue-silver grass and the innate full soul power. In his understanding, Tang San must have 2-handed martial spirits. As the son of Tang Hao, the other martial spirit must be the clear sky hammer. Such talent made Dai Mu Bei, a disciple he was originally satisfied with. suddenly dislike him. Yu Zhigang felt that Yu Bei's talent was too low. Why would he accept such a mediocre person as his disciple, especially when he learned from some unknown channel that Tang San had broken through to level 30 when he was less than 11 years old? This idea in his mind instantly reached its peak. In this way, Yu Zhigang visited the Tang sect as the chief teacher of Lanba Academy. Relying on the fact that Tai Long was a student of Lanba Academy, he successfully met the leader of the Tang sect, Tang San. Through this channel, Yu Zhigang thought it would be easy to convince an 11-year-old child with his invincible theory. But things did not develop as he expected. Today's Tang San is no longer the clueless rookie in the Spirit Master world in the original novel, who could be fooled by a few seemingly profound words for some unknown reasons. Tang San patiently listened to Yu Zhigang's long speech. When Yu Zhigang proposed to accept him as a disciple, he rejected him unceremoniously and expelled him from the Tang sect. The news that Yu Zhigang came to the Tang sect's leader to take him as his disciple spread throughout Xiandao City in just a few days, thanks to the instigation of some people with ulterior motives, and became a topic of conversation among both common people and nobles. After dinner, after learning about this, Yu Bei had a fierce quarrel with Yu Zhigang. In the end, due to many unavoidable reasons, the teacher and students reached a reconciliation. The most direct and important reason is that Yu Zhigang has no better choice, and Yu Bei's identity does not allow him to fail. The teacher and the students had a grudge against each other, but because of their own reasons, they were forced to continue to create the illusion of friendship between teacher and student. And on the Tang sect side, after going through all these things, especially what happened at the funeral, the status of the Tang clan is no longer as high as before, except for the 7 treasures. Glazed sect's orders for hidden weapons, which remained unchanged. The volume of scattered orders from other nobles in Xiandao City decreased by nearly 80%. Tang San himself also realized once again the importance of his own strength. Therefore, the hard-working Tang San simply let go of all the affairs of the Tang sect and devoted himself fully to cultivation. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109 Destiny. In addition, because Ziyu mobilized the royal knights on a large scale to guard the palace, it gave the secret guards an opportunity to contact Deputy Captain Jin Wen. Nothing can be accomplished overnight. During the contact between the secret guard and Jin Wen, he kept his identity hidden and did not directly state his purpose, but took it step by step. After 3 months of getting along, the secret guard and Jin Wen went from being strangers to becoming closer friends. Of course, alcohol is indispensable for men to make friends. After the two became familiar with each other, the secret guard, who was about the same age as Jin Wen, had heard Jin Wen complaining about the royal family inadvertently several times after he was drunk. All these drunken remarks were recorded in the intelligence and presented to Lin Rong. Talking nonsense when drunk and speaking the truth when drunk are actually half and half. If you don't have corresponding thoughts in your mind on a normal day, how could you inadvertently reveal them after getting drunk? Jin Wen had some complaints against the royal family, which made Lin Rong more confident in winning over the deputy leader of the royal knights at present. The secret guard and Jin Wen are just familiar friends at the wine table, and their friendship is not deep enough. After some time has passed, when the friendship between the two of them has become deeper and the time is right, the secret guard will reveal his identity and purpose. And wait and see what choice Jin Wen will make. 10,000 meters in the sky, above the clouds, the 9-bend vine dragon transformed into a huge green real dragon and carried Lin Rong and the old butler to fly south on the dragon's head. Between a pair of dragon horns, Lin Rong sat there, looking down at the scenery. On the ground in winter, it snows heavily and the ground is covered with the same unchanging snow scene. Although it is beautiful, it is easy to cause visual fatigue if you look at it for a long time. Until 2 days later, the 9-bend vine dragon carried them to a place in the south where there was no snow, and finally there was a different scenery on the ground. Lin Rong, who had been sitting on the dragon's head and looking at the scenery boredly, also vaguely sensed that there were countless blue-silver grasses growing somewhere in the distance. It's almost there. We only have half a day's journey left before we reach the blue-silver forest. Half a day later, in a blue forest, Lin Rong controlled the right leg bone of the blue-silver emperor that he had absorbed to release the royal aura, and ordered the blue-silver grasses to guide him and the old butler to find the blue-silver king deep in the forest. The two of them walked quickly through the ancient forest, and after walking for an hour, they came to a huge plant. It was a special plant made up of countless vines condensed together. The clear and crystal blue vines climbed up one another, forming a sturdy ancient tree that was 10 meters high. Who are you? In the middle of the vine, a trace that looked like a human face appeared. The face showed a puzzled expression. It looked at the leading child and asked, I don't sense royal blood in you, but you have the aura of the Blue Silver Empress. Excuse me, what is your relationship with our clan's king, the Blue Silver Queen? While asking these questions, the human face of the Blue Silver King noticed the 9-curved vine dragon wrapped around Lin Rong. Although the 9-bend vine dragon restrained its dragon power, the Blue Silver King still felt an inexplicable pressure from it. Upon hearing this, Lin Rong did not answer the Blue Silver King's question, but walked forward and said seemingly unintentionally, in the Blue Silver Grass clan, there can only be one emperor in the world at the same time, only. When the old emperor falls can a new emperor be born. A few months ago, the complete fall of the Blue Silver Queen caused the shackles in your blood to disappear. Why bother asking this? I don't have the blood of the Blue Silver royal family flowing in my body, but I have the soul bone of the Blue Silver Empress. How do you think I got this soul bone? As he spoke these words, the 9-bend vine dragon received an order from its master and released its dragon power to lock onto the Blue Silver King in front of it. Lin Rong walked forward step by step, constantly approaching the Blue Silver King. The mighty dragon power, coupled with the royal pressure released by the Blue Silver Emperor's right leg bone, made it impossible for the Blue Silver King to have the slightest desire to resist. Are you here this time to get me to be your spirit ring? The Blue Silver King seemed to have accepted his fate, and his old voice sounded somewhat desolate. I am willing to sacrifice my own spirit ring to you, but I beg you to spare the many Blue Silver Grass people in this forest. Not bad. Lin Rong walked up to the Blue Silver King, reached out to touch the transparent blue vines, and said with a hint of praise, compared to that Blue Silver Grass that only knows how to fall in love, you are much more responsible. Don't worry, you are my only target this time. I don't care about the rest of the Blue Silver Grass, however, you don't need to make a sacrifice. I can absorb your spirit ring by myself. After saying this, Lin Rong's tone changed, and with a hint of temptation in his words, he approached the face of the Blue Silver King and said, the Blue Silver Queen is dead, and the bloodline shackles have been broken. Do you want to become the true emperor of the Blue Silver Grass clan at the last moment of your life? The true emperor of the Blue Silver Grass clan, the Blue Silver King was extremely shocked when he heard this. He asked with a tone of trepidation and expectation, is this true? But then it thought of something and refused. No, I can't force the people of this forest to break through their cultivation. This made Lin Rong chuckle and explain, don't worry, I don't have the Blue Silver domain, so I can't do what you just said at the moment. Besides, who said that only those who have broken through 100,000 years of cultivation can become the emperor of the Blue Silver Grass clan? Why don't you take a look at this and take a closer look at what this is? As he spoke, Lin Rong took out a Wenyu jade bottle, opened the stopper of the jade bottle and poured out 9 drops of crystal clear blue blood in the air. The moment the Blue Silver King saw these 9 drops of blue blood, an extreme desire derived from his blood suddenly surged from the bottom of his heart. This is. The wise and psychic Blue Silver King figured out the source of the blue blood at a glance, but he was hesitant to say it out loud. Extremely complex emotions lingered in its heart: regret, grief, secret joy, excitement. You don't have to feel guilty or self-blame. Lin Rong encouraged the Blue Silver King. If a soul beast that has transformed into human form cannot break through to the god level, its lifespan will be no different from that of an ordinary human. In countless years, when have you ever heard of a senior from your soul beast clan breaking through to the god level? If we cannot break through to the god level, the Blue Silver Emperor Queen will be nothing more than a speck of yellow soil buried underground in 100 years. Therefore, from the moment the Blue Silver Queen chose to transform, you were destined to be the next emperor of the Blue Silver Grass clan. Seeing that the Blue Silver King was wavering, Lin Rong decided to add fuel to the fire. If you want to wear its crown, you must bear its weight. As the emperor of the Blue Silver Grass clan, the Blue Silver Queen occupies the only throne of the emperor. When has she ever fulfilled the responsibilities that an emperor should have? For the selfish gain of eternal life, it abandoned your Blue Silver Grass clan and transformed into a human to pursue the illusory goal of becoming a 100-level god. This emperor who was unworthy of his position ended up being reduced to ashes, which was his own karma. You know, fate will never let down those who are loyal. My appearance is a part of fate, and you are just obeying the arrangement of fate. You don't need to have any psychological burden. Come, absorb these 9 drops of royal blood essence, and you will be the well-deserved Blue Silver Emperor. The human face of the Blue Silver King opened its mouth tremblingly, and finally made up its mind to swallow the 9 drops of blue blood that were brought to its mouth in one gulp. End of this chapter. Chapter 110 Sacrifice. 6th Soul Ring. After the blood essence was swallowed by the Blue Silver King, it instantly dissolved into its body and merged with its own royal blood of the highest level in the Blue Silver King's body. The azure blood flows quietly gradually. Spots of light of pale golden color appeared in the azure river of blood. These pale golden spots of light gathered in the center of the river, like a thin golden line dividing the azure river into 2 halves. Outside world, Blue Silver Forest. A moment when the Blue Silver King's bloodline broke through from the peak of the royal family to the imperial family throughout the forest. Tens of millions of blue silver grasses released their own faint and tiny auras, welcoming the birth of the new emperor from the bottom of their hearts. Then, a faint blue light quietly emerged from every blue silver grass, turning the forest into blue ocean. The dark blue light that made up the blue ocean continuously flowed into the body of the Blue Silver King, causing its appearance to undergo earth-shaking changes. The thick vines quickly shrank and turned into slender grass leaves again. After a few breaths, the originally 10-meter tall sturdy tree turned into blue silver grass less than 1 meter tall. The entire plant of blue silver grass is surprisingly crystal clear, and its color is pure sapphire blue. If you look closely, you will find that the leaves of blue silver grass have a hint of golden texture. This golden texture runs along the veins of the leaves and spreads throughout the entire blue silver grass. Just like the golden line in the blood that divides the Blue River in two, it symbolizes the identity and status of the royal family of the Blue Silver Grass clan. Lin Rong witnessed this changing process up close. The Blue Silver King's cultivation level has not changed. It is still more than 85,000 years old, but the aura it exudes at this moment is much stronger than before. This is the power of blood, the strength of the only imperial bloodline nurtured by the Blue Silver Grass clan with all their strength as the only imperial bloodline of its kind. The Blue Silver Emperor's bloodline is strong enough to rank among the top 10 in terms of bloodline strength of all soul beasts at this moment. Its title changed from Blue Silver King to the real Blue Silver Emperor. The Blue Silver Emperor, who had completed his bloodline transformation, looked at the human child standing in front of him. Although he had already accepted his fate, he still couldn't believe that the child in front of him could withstand the energy of his soul ring. Although it doesn't know much about the human world, it still knows some basic common sense. The child in front of him had a childish face and looked about 10 years older according to its understanding of humans. No matter how talented a child of this age is, his soul power cultivation can only be that of a great soul master at best. The 9-curved vine dragon that had been entangled with Lin Rong was mistaken for a soul beast due to its lack of cognition, rather than the martial soul of the child in front of it. After thinking it over, I think it's better to make a sacrifice, even if this child can really bear my spirit ring by himself. If something unexpected happens during the process of absorbing the spirit ring, this dragon spirit beast and the old man who makes me feel extremely dangerous will probably massacre the people of this forest to vent their anger. After making up its mind, dazzling blue flames burned on the entire slender leaves of the Blue Silver Emperor. A circle of light blue halo spread from the veins of the grass leaves at the top of the Blue Silver Emperor, instantly covering an area of 100 meters. Seeing this unusual phenomenon, the old butler immediately wanted to take action to deal with the blue silver grass in front of him, and then he heard the voice of the young master. "Grandpa, don't worry, it means no harm. This light blue imperial flame is the fire of life ignited by the soul beast sacrificing its life. It underestimated my ability and made such a choice because it was afraid that I could not absorb its soul ring. The soul beast sacrifice process will generate a strong magnetic field, making everything in the range unable to move. But that is the effect of sacrificing a soul beast that is 100,000 years old. The cultivation of this blue silver grass is less than 100,000 years old, and the magnetic field it generates cannot imprison everything." After hearing this, the old butler stopped what he was doing, but he still looked at the young master with some concern in his eyes and stood by silently. The light blue flame burned brighter and brighter. Soon, the Blue Silver Emperor bathed in flames became increasingly transparent and illusory until it transformed into a blue-gold ring. At this moment, the blue silver grass in the entire forest sensed the fall of the Emperor, swaying without wind, and weeping for the Emperor's death as if it could sense the sadness of its people. The blue-gold ring emitted a subtle wave that spread throughout the entire forest, comforting and soothing the sadness in the hearts of tens of millions of blue-silver grasses. After doing all this, the soul of the Blue Silver Emperor also dissipated at this time. turning into pure soul energy and merging into the blue gold ring. Then, the blue and gold ring changed first of all. In terms of color, the blue-gold color slowly faded, replaced by a deep inky black color after a while. When the blue-gold color completely faded, the size of the ring became the same as that of a regular soul ring. After the black soul ring appeared, it was pulled and floated in front of Lin Rong, and finally put on the 9-curved vine dragon in an instant. The tremendous soul power contained in the soul ring poured into Lin Rong's body because of the sacrifice. These soul powers are gentle and pure. There is no need for Lin Rong to actively refine them. The Marrow Cleansing Sutra will operate on its own and refine them quickly at an extremely efficient speed. The whole process took less than a quarter of an hour. It's comfortable, just like taking a bath in a hot spring. Lin Rong stretched lazily and said in a lazy tone, compared to the intense pain of absorbing a spirit ring myself, the process of sacrificing a spirit ring is simply a kind of enjoyment. Unfortunately, not everyone can have this kind of experience. After saying that, Lin Rong walked towards the old housekeeper and asked with a smile, "Grandpa Yu, guess what level of soul power I have now?" After hearing this, the old butler stroked his beard and thought for a while, then replied in a gentle tone, "With an 85,000-year spirit ring and the sacrifice, I think the young master's spirit power will not be lower than level 64 at the lowest. In addition, the energy contained in plant soul beasts is usually higher than that of ordinary animal soul beasts. Therefore, I guess that your soul power at this moment should be the peak of level 64. After saying this, the old butler looked at the subtle changes in the young master's expression and immediately realized that he had guessed correctly, and a slight smile appeared on his old face. But when his peripheral vision caught a glimpse of the place where the blue-silver emperor had grown just now, a hint of regret flashed in his eyes. A soul beast that is more than 85,000 years old, even after being sacrificed, did not drop a single soul bone. This is really bad luck. Lin Rong noticed the trace of regret in the old butler's eyes. He followed the old butler's gaze and immediately understood what that trace of regret was. He also knew that the old butler didn't say this because he didn't want to spoil the fun at this happy time, but their luck has always been good, Grandpa Yu. Our luck has always been very good. Lin Rong took the old housekeeper's hand, stretched out his other hand, spread out his palm and kept it facing up. Look, what is this? End of this chapter. Chapter 111, Emperor's Holy Lance. When the old butler heard this, his eyes instinctively fell on the young master's open palm. I saw a blue light with golden glow condensing in Lin Rong's palm. These rays of light quickly stretched and lengthened like flowing liquid, forming the outline of a spear. After a while, the light dissipated. A spear with light golden patterns and made of flawless blue crystal appeared in Lin Rong's hand. Is this a weapon-type external soul bone? There was a hint of uncertainty in the old butler's delighted voice. Externally attached soul bones are extremely rare. Throughout the history of the Soul Master world, the number of people who possess externally attached soul bones can be counted on one hand. Therefore, he could only infer from similar weapon-type soul skills that the spear in front of him was a weapon-type external soul bone. Yes, it is a weapon-type external soul bone. Lin Rong answered affirmatively. The bloodline of the Blue-Silver Emperor, 85,000 years of cultivation and sacrifice, these three combined together, the probability of dropping soul bones is infinitely close to the level that a 100,000-year soul beast will definitely drop soul bones. However, although the soul bones produced by sacrifice can be freely selected from the 6 conventional soul bones, the positions of Lin Rong's remaining 3 conventional soul bones have already been determined. Therefore, Lin Rong tried to intervene with the power of the Washing Marrow Sutra, so that the soul bone energy contained in the soul ring, which had not yet condensed into form, could evolve into the form of an external soul bone. Things went smoothly, and the ball of soul bone energy that had not yet taken shape finally condensed into the spear in Lin Rong's hand. He was not surprised that the attached soul bone was a spear in the original novel. After Tang San's Blue-Silver Emperor bloodline awakened, the soul skill bestowed by the 5th soul ring that was condensed was the Blue-Silver Overlord Spear. This spear was condensed from the Blue-Silver Emperor, so I gave it a domineering name, the Emperor's Holy Spear. Lin Rong looked at the old housekeeper and said briskly, because it is a weapon-type external soul bone, this spear has no attribute enhancement for me. All the abilities are concentrated on the spear itself. First, any soul skill performed through the Emperor's Holy Spear will have its soul power consumption reduced by 20%, its release speed increased by 20%, and its power increased by 20%. This ability is fixed and cannot become stronger as the age of the attached soul bone increases. Secondly, the Emperor's Holy Spear carries with it the Emperor's holy might. Enemies hit by the Holy Spear have the chance of being forced to interrupt their soul skills. The greater the gap in strength between the opponent and me, the higher the chance of forced interruption. The Emperor's holy power can also be released actively by consuming spiritual power. As long as the target's spiritual power is not greater than mine, the soul skill being performed will be forcibly interrupted. Finally, the Emperor's holy lance can be possessed by spirits. The 9-curved vine dragon is my martial soul. Its dragon soul can attach itself to the Emperor's holy spear, giving it a variety of special abilities. Needless to say, the inherent dragon power of the martial soul can be perfectly inherited by the Emperor's holy spear. The various elemental attributes of the 9-curved vine dragon can also be inherited by the Emperor's holy spear and evolve some special abilities. For example, the 9-curved vine dragon has some power of space elements because it absorbed the sky green bamboo soul ring. After the spirit is attached, the Emperor's holy spear inherits the space element attribute, and the spear body itself will develop special abilities related to space attributes. When the old butler heard this, he also smiled and exclaimed, "This spirit attaching ability is a perfect match with the young master's 5th spirit skill, the Dragon Soul Clone. 2 dragon souls, one for the spirit and one for the body, is simply a perfect combination." I was thinking, given your temper, young master, in the battle with Yang Wudi, you wouldn't be planning to use this Emperor's holy spear to fight him head-on, right? Lin Rong's thoughts were guessed by the old housekeeper. He sighed in his heart that Grandpa Yu really understood him, and replied, "That's right. Yang Wudi is a man of unruly character. If you crush him head-on in the area he is proud of, the effect of him being convinced after being defeated will be much better than other methods. I don't know how to use a spear. Even if I sharpen my spear before the battle, I can't compare to Yang Wudi who has been immersed in this art for decades. But strength can defeat skill. No matter how profound his spear skills are, I can break them with my own strength." The tone of these words was full of confidence and casualness. The improvement of Lin Rong's physical fitness by the 6th soul ring, which is as long as 85,000 years, exceeds the sum of the previous 5 soul rings at the same time, with his soul power cultivation at the peak of level 64, after being amplified by all his own soul skills. The soul power strength is also top level among the soul fighters, whether in terms of physical fitness or soul power. He is much stronger than Yang Wudi. In addition, with the power of the Emperor's holy spear, unless Yang Wudi breaks through to the title Douluo on the spot, Lin Rong has absolute confidence that he can suppress and defeat him in a head-on battle. Compared with the power of the Emperor's holy spear, the 6th soul skill Vine Dragon Prison Sky Ray given to Lin Rong by the Blue-Silver Emperor does not seem so outstanding. The Vine Dragon Prisoner Sky Formation is a group control soul skill. The maximum coverage range of this soul skill is extremely large and is closely related to the numerous banyan tree seedlings of the 9-curved vine dragon within the coverage range of the soul skill. It is like being in an endless banyan forest that blocks out the sky and the sun. Each of these banyan trees can move its position at any time, together forming an ever-changing formation. Lin Rong is in the formation, and his real body can instantly appear at any location in the formation. The only way to break the formation is to destroy all the banyan trees in an instant. Otherwise, the people trapped inside can only escape after the banyan tree's soul power is exhausted or the formation is cancelled actively. The Vine Dragon Prisoner Heaven Formation combines the functions of trapping and killing enemies. Its only drawback is that it consumes a very high amount of soul power, but it is not without advantages. After releasing the soul skill, the Vine Dragon Prisoner Sky Formation can actively absorb the free soul power in the air to reduce Lin Rong's own soul power consumption. Lin Rong was quite satisfied with his soul skill. The strength of the Vine Dragon Prisoner Sky Formation depends on the strength of the banyan tree seedlings of the 9-curved vine dragon. It will become stronger as the 9-curved vine dragon becomes stronger, and the power limit of this soul skill will not be affected by the age of the soul ring itself. Lin Rong looked down at the many blue-silver grasses growing well on the ground and thought, right now, Tang Hao is dead, and the Blue-Silver King, Emperor, has become my spirit ring. I can't find this blue-silver forest, and there is no blue-silver grass of a high enough age to awaken his bloodline. I'm afraid that Tang San's blue-silver grass cannot be awakened a second time and upgraded to the Blue-Silver Emperor martial spirit. However, Tang San's own strength does not rely much on the blue-silver grass spirit. A life and death duel is not a soul master competition. There aren't so many restrictions. With the Tang sect cheats, and with similar spirit powers, Tang San will have no problem dealing with Jinring Su, who has almost zero combat experience. Therefore, whether Tang San awakens the Blue-Silver Emperor martial spirit or not has no impact on the plan. The most important thing now is to get the Zhuanshan Guang's mental formula from Tang San. 4. Any authentic cultivation method, the mental method and formula are of utmost importance. Without the corresponding mental formula, it will be useless even if you can completely imitate the operation route of Zhuanshan Guang. If you want to get these out of Tang San, you need to take some extraordinary measures. It's just right. Since Yu Zhigang has come to Xiandao City and Xinlian has followed him, we can try to let Xinlian use nightmares to create an illusion so that Tang San can talk in his sleep and recite the complete formula of the Zhuanshan Guang. End of this chapter. Chapter 112 Rakshasa Pope. In the middle of the continent, where the two empires meet, a small city built around a not-too-high hill. This city is the main city of the Spirit Hall. Wuhan City compared to huge cities like Xiandao City and Xingluo City. Wuhan City, which is built around the hills, covers an area less than 1/10 of the area of the capitals of the two empires. However, although Wuhan City is not large in area, the impression the city gives people is far more shocking than Xiandao City and Xingluo City. The entire Wuhan City is built around a hill. Even if you stand at the foot of the hill, you can see the many magnificent buildings in Wuhan City. For example, the Pope's Palace and the Hall of Offerings. In addition, it is precisely because Wuhan City is not large that people can get a glimpse of its entirety at a glance, which makes the city appear even more majestic and magnificent. In addition, the wall of Wuhan City is not a quadrilateral like that of ordinary cities, but a hexagonal one, the only one of its kind in the entire continent. The 6 city walls are all built with high-quality granite. They are 80 meters high and over 30 meters thick, enclosing the entire hill and making it watertight. There is a huge relief carved inside and outside each city wall. There are 6 reliefs on the 6 city walls, each representing a powerful martial spirit. The 6 martial spirits are Clear Sky Hammer, 7 Treasures Glazed Tower, Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus, Strange Velvet Chrysanthemum, Ghost, and Star Crown. Among them, the first 3 belong to the inherited martial spirits of the top 3 of the 7 major sects, and their sect territories are all located within the Xiandao Empire. Among the last 3, Xingguan is the inherited martial spirit of the Xingguan sect, a hidden sect of the Xingluo Empire. These 4 kinds of martial spirits are all powerful martial spirits that have been passed down for a long time in the world of soul masters. Except for the secluded Star Crown sect, the other 3 martial spirits are all famous in the world of soul masters. As for why the 2 martial spirits, Kirantong Xianzhu and Gimri, appear on these 6 reliefs, it is a very incredible thing. Not only that, the 6 reliefs on the 6 walls of Wuhan City also tacitly excluded the inherited martial spirits of the royal families of the 2 empires. Neither the swan, the high-level beast spirit of the Xiandao royal family, nor the white tiger, the top beast spirit of the Xingluo royal family, appeared in any of the reliefs on the 6 city walls as the main city of the Spirit Hall. It is a holy place in the minds of the vast majority of soul masters. In the soul master world, the entry requirements to Wuhan City are extremely strict, requiring those entering the city to have a soul power cultivation level of at least level 20 Great Soul Master. Therefore, Wuhan City is the only city in the entire continent where all residents are soul masters, not counting children whose martial souls have not yet awakened. Halfway up the hill, there is an extremely magnificent and eye-catching golden building, and this golden building is the Pope's Palace, which symbolizes the authority of the Pope of the Spirit Hall. Standing at the location of the Pope's Palace and looking down, you can see everything in the entire Wuhan City, except for the white jade-like worship hall on the top of the hill outside the Pope's Palace. A woman dressed in a black papal robe with gold patterns, a 9-curved purple gold crown on her head, and holding the Pope's scepter in her hand, stood there elegantly behind her. 2 figures stood respectfully. One of the men in white was reporting something to the woman. "Your Holiness, this is what happened. The kings of those kingdoms and principalities have agreed to secretly submit to the Spirit Hall. Of course, Your Majesty, please rest assured that old ghost and I have kept this a secret and have not let anyone know about it." When the man in white finished speaking, Pope Bibidong did not turn back and continued to overlook the scenery below. "Very good, thank you Elders Zhu and Gui for taking care of this matter. Please step down." Although the voice was soft and pleasant, it was full of the unquestionable majesty of a superior. As soon as these words were spoken, Yu Guan in white and Gui in black looked at each other, then reported back and took their leave. They both left the Pope's Palace together. After Yu Guan and Gimri left, Bibidong still stood outside the Pope's Palace, looking down at the unobstructed view of Wuhan City with a calm expression. Ever since Kayang Sunji had done that to her in the secret room, she could only temporarily forget the scars in her heart by immersing herself in supreme power. Standing outside the Pope's palace and overlooking the scenery of Wuhan City can always tell Bibi Dong how glorious and unattainable her power and status are. From here one can overlook any place in Wuhan City, except for that one place which she needs to look up to see. Bibi Dong slowly turned around and looked up at the shrine hall standing on the top of the mountain behind the Pope's palace. This feeling of having to look up to see made Bibi Dong feel very disgusted. That face that had the most beautiful appearance in the world suddenly turned into 1,000 years of ice, with an expression that was cold and full of murderous intent. Jin Daoliu, one day, Bibi Dong, will make your angel lineage completely disappear from this world. I will destroy this world. I will completely destroy this world that has hurt me so much that it will perish with me forever. Ahhahoha. Ahhahoha. At this time, there was no one outside the Pope's palace. Only Bibi Dong was standing there. The hideous and terrifying laughter echoed in the silent air, so harsh and creepy it's hard to believe that such a terrifying smile could come from the mouth of a woman with such an unparalleled face. Behind Bibi Dong, a pitch-black door emitting a purple-black light suddenly appeared, and endless grievances and negative emotions were continuously released from it. When the dark door appeared, Bibi Dong's figure changed drastically in an instant. The peerless beauty on her face was distorted with horror, and bloodstains covered it. Behind her, an unclear black shadow appeared. His eyes turned completely blood red, and his nails instantly grew 5 inches long, turning completely black as Bibi Dong's body shape changed. The dark door burst out with a huge suction force and sucked her into the door. Somewhere in an unknown space, Bibi Dong's extremely ugly figure appeared here. On her hideous and terrifying face, a mark of 2 crossed sickles appeared between her eyebrows. After the mark appeared, a dim purple-black light flashed. Then, a cold voice without any emotion appeared in Bibi Dong's mind. 9 tests of Rakshasa, 5th test, completion rate is 95%. After hearing this voice, Bibi Dong murmured, 5%, only 5% left, and I can complete the 5th test of Rakshasa. The originally gentle and pleasant voice, like the spring breeze, now became hoarse and low. The countless negative emotions in the surrounding environment continued to impact Bibi Dong's mind. This made her hatred for the world even stronger, and the only bit of attachment to the warmth of the world that was left in her heart was suppressed tightly inside her heart. After a long time, the mark on Bibi Dong's forehead flashed a purple-black light. Again that cold voice appeared in Bibi Dong's mind again. 9 tests of Rakshasa, the 5th test is completed, reward Rakshasa affinity is 10%, and the total affinity is 30%. 9 tests of Rakshasa, the 6th test begins. The cold voice ended, but the strong negative emotions in the Rakshasa secret realm were still eroding Bibi Dong's mind, and even affecting the only remaining good memories deep in her heart that she had carefully guarded. Feeling that the only remaining beauty in her heart was affected by the negative emotions here, a trace of panic flashed across Bibi Dong's ferocious and fearful face. Xiao Gang, no, I don't want to forget you. End of this chapter. Chapter 113 Nostalgia. Therefore, Bibi Dong, who had already completed the 5th test of Rakshasa, was in no mood to care about the 6th test and hurriedly left this secret space in the Pope's palace. In an unknown secret room, a purple-black light flashed by, and Bibi Dong's figure appeared on the bed in the corner of the secret room. After exiting the Rakshasa secret realm, Bibi Dong regained her previous elegant and peerless appearance. The panic-stricken expression on her face made her look not like the honorable and glorious Pope of the Spirit Hall, but an innocent noble lady from some noble family without the constant influence of the negative emotions of the Rakshasa secret realm. Bibi Dong let go of her guard and recalled the only remaining warmth in her heart. The innocence of first love brought a long-lost innocent smile to Bibi Dong's face, and her soft and pleasant voice was filled with deep attachment. Xiao Gang, I haven't seen you for so many years. Are you doing well? Xiandao City, Lanba Academy. In the room, Yu Zaigang was writing something on a piece of white paper. He was originally planning the training schedule for his cheap apprentice, but for some reason the unforgettable figure kept flashing through his mind. Unable to concentrate, Yu Zaigang put down the pen in his hand in annoyance, and looked down. There was no training plan on the white paper, but a portrait of a young woman. Yu Zaigang looked at the portrait of the young woman in his hand with a melancholy expression, and couldn't help but reach out to touch the woman's face in the portrait. Tick-tock, 2 lines of hot tears slid down Yu Zaiagang's face and dripped onto the portrait. Xiao Gang, Xiao Gang, Liu Erlong's shouting came from outside the door. After hearing it, Yu Zaigang was a little panicked and crumpled the portrait in his hand into a ball and threw it into the wastebasket before he could wipe the tears from his face. Liu Erlong pushed open the door and strode in. Xiao Gang, come here at dinner time. I didn't see you in the college cafeteria, so I knew you must have been so absorbed in work that you forgot the time again. I asked the canteen chef to prepare some of your favorite side dishes and brought them over. Xia Gang, eat them while they were hot. As she spoke, Liu Erlong placed the food box in her hand on the table in front of Yu Zaigang and opened the lid of the food box for him. Suddenly, the aroma of food wafted into the room. Erlong, thank you for your hard work. Yu Zaigang took the chopsticks handed to him by Liu Erlong and suppressed his longing for bibi dong. He did not dare to look at Liu Erlong out of guilt, but instead lowered his head with evasive eyes and looked at the food in the food box. Although Liu Erlong's mind was not very delicate, her woman's intuition still made her realize that something was wrong. Yu Zaigang's evasive eyes, the tear marks on his face, and his sudden polite thanks to her, all told Liu Erlong that Yu Zaigang was hiding something from her. A woman's sixth sense made Liu Erlong immediately lock her eyes on the wastebasket at Yu Zaigang's feet. It's not hard. I'm willing to do this for you. Okay, Zaigang, eat quickly. It's cold in winter. Don't wait until the food gets cold or it won't taste good. On the surface, Liu Erlong pushed Yu Zaigang to eat faster, but secretly, she used her soul power to absorb the latest piece of waste paper in the wastebasket into her palm. After doing all this, Liu Erlong waited patiently for Yu Zaigang to finish eating, and left the room with the empty food box. Bang! The door was closed. Outside the room, Liu Erlong leaned against the door and unfolded the crumpled waste paper hidden in her palm. When she saw the portrait of the young woman on the waste paper, her anger and jealousy instantly erupted. Flames emerged from her palms, burning the portrait to ashes. Afterwards, bitterness replaced the anger in her heart. Liu Erlong turned around and looked at Yu Zaigang through the door, thinking, Bibi Dong, it's Bibi Dong again. Xiao Gang, how can I be inferior to her? Why? You call out her name in your dreams, and she's the one you think about when you're working. Sister, is it because I'm your sister? Do you really care so much about worldly opinions? Liu Erlong tried several times to push open the door and rush in to question Yu Zaigang, but every time her hand touched the doorknob, she shrank back in fear. She was afraid that after questioning, Yu Zaigang would leave her again. In the end, Liu Erlong covered her face with tears and left. In the dark night, on a big tree covered with snow, Xinian was hiding on a tree branch, taking in the entire scene. He felt disgusted with Yu Zaigang's behavior. In his heart, as a ruthless and vindictive person, Xinian has always looked down on those who are cowardly and incompetent and have no sense of responsibility. I have worked so hard for so long, and you are still sitting here and not looking for your first love to ask about the truth of what happened back then. I have never seen such a cowardly and incompetent hypocrite. No, I have to increase the intensity of the nightmare. I haven't been able to complete the task for so long. It would be bad if that adult thinks that I am not doing my job well. In winter, it gets dark early and people go to bed early. It was dark at this moment. After Yu Zaigang finished his dinner, he rested for a while and then lay down on the bed and fell asleep. Xinian appeared silently in front of the bed, looked at Yu Zaigang, who was sleeping in front of him. His seventh soul ring lit up, and his martial soul's true form nightmare was activated. The next day, dawn. Xinian had just returned to his secluded place when he received the news that Lin Rong summoned him. Lin's manor, main house hall. The burning floor dragon dispelled the biting cold outside, making the hall as warm as spring. Lin Rong, who had just returned home less than a day ago, sat on the sofa, warmed himself by the stove, drank hot tea and waited for the arrival of the new year. At 3:15 in the morning, Xinian arrived here. Sir, Nightmare's plan to lure Yu Zaigang has been proceeding in an orderly manner. You asked me to come here. Do you have any other instructions? As soon as Xinian came in, he explained that he had been working on the task, in case Lin Rong asked about the progress of the task and he didn't know how to answer. Tang Sam knows, right? Lin Rong was drinking tea, and a piece of white paper covered with handwriting floated in front of Xinian. I know, the leader of the Tang sect, Xinian answered, and at the same time took the white paper that floated in front of him and checked what was written on it. Oh, I see. Xinian browsed through it, and the content written on the white paper opened his eyes. It turns out that Tang San actually came from another world, a killer organization called Tangman. He stole the sect's treasure, jumped off a cliff, and came to our world. No wonder he could come up with those magical hidden weapons, but How did the adults know about this kind of thing? As soon as Xinian finished reading what was written on the white paper, the paper in his hand turned into a wisp of smoke and dissipated into the air. Curiosity kills the cat. The more you know, the faster you die. Lin Rong didn't speak, but his voice echoed in the hall. For some things, you just need to do them and don't ask any more questions. A mental pressure that made Xinian feel suffocated suddenly appeared, but disappeared in an instant, as if it had never happened. But the extinguished fire in the hall told Xinian that the fleeting pressure just now was not his illusion suppressing the panic in his heart. Xinian answered respectfully, "Yes, sir, I understand." Seeing this, Lin Rong put down the teacup in his hand and said, "This is your reward for this mission. I'm giving it to you in advance. If you fail, I can only take it back by force." As he spoke, a stream of green light flew out from Lin Rong's wrist and hovered in front of Xinian. 10,000-year soul bone. After Xinian saw clearly what was in the green light, he couldn't help but exclaim. But while feeling happy, he immediately thought of what Lin Rong had just said. If the mission fails, the soul bones must be retrieved. If he wants to retrieve the soul bones that have been absorbed by him, he must be dead. Thinking of this, Xinian was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat, and suddenly felt that the soul bone in front of him was not so attractive. But Xinian finally accepted the soul bone, regardless of whether he had the qualifications to refuse. After careful consideration, he also felt that the task was not difficult. "Yes, sir, I promise to complete the task." End of this chapter. Chapter 114. Xinian's ambition. The soul bone that Lin Rong gave to Xinian was the youngest soul bone he had at his disposal, namely the left leg bone of the Greenwood twin lotus. That was more than 33,000 years old originally. He wanted to keep the soul bone so that he could use it to help Yu Yuan in the future. But who can blame him for the fact that the other soul bones in his hand are much older than this one? The only one that is less than 50,000 years old is the head soul bone that Xinian already has. The other soul bones are more than 50,000 years old, and their integrity is extremely good. It would be unfair to give them to Xinian after all, as the sharpest blade in his hand in the future. Hongjun's 6 soul bones still require his concern. Lin Rong does not have high requirements for Hongjun's soul bone configuration. He does not necessarily have to equip him with a 100,000-year soul bone, but at least each soul bone must ensure excellent integrity, so the age of the soul bone cannot be less than 50,000 years at present. There are only 3 of the 6 soul bones obtained from Tanghao left: torso bone, skull bone, and right leg bone. Among these 3 soul bones, only the head soul bone is less than 50,000 years old, and the remaining 2 soul bones are more than 50,000 years old. Therefore, the conventional locations of the 6 soul bones are torso, head, right arm, left leg, and right leg. There are options for the torso bone and left leg bone, but the remaining 4 positions are still lacking soul bones. As for the source and difficulty of obtaining soul bones, Lin Rong didn't care at all. In the process of unifying the continent and the ocean in the future, it will be common to confiscate families and destroy clans. Among those families and sects with a long history, there will always be a few whose inherited soul bones are more than 50,000 years old. On the Sky Dou Empire side, the Kibao and Landian sects knew enough to know that the probability of the 2 sects possessing inherited soul bones that were more than 50,000 years old was almost zero. As for the Douluo Empire, the original novel does not focus much on it, but given the heritage of the Douluo royal family and the hidden sect Xingguan sect, the probability that there are soul bones in their inherited soul bones that are more than 50,000 years old is not low, even if the positions of soul bones overlap or cannot be gathered together. We can just lead people to sweep the starred out great forest for soul beasts with cultivation levels of more than 50,000 years, and we can gather them all, and even have a lot of surplus soul bones. After Xinian returned, he absorbed the 10,000-year-old left leg bone immediately after he absorbed the tremendous soul power remaining in the soul bone. His own soul power cultivation level increased by 1.5 levels, and his soul power broke through from level 72.5 to the beginning of level 74. Xinian carefully felt the changes in himself and whispered to himself, although this soul bone is the second least precious left leg bone among the 6 soul bones, it is over 33,000 years old. This left leg bone improves my aptitude by about 50% more than the aptitude improvement that my 20,000-year-old illusionary wisdom skull has given me. With 2 10,000-year soul bones in my body, I can successfully cultivate my soul power to level 89, but it is far from enough to break through the bottleneck of level 90. Speaking of this, Shi Nian's eyes were filled with an extreme desire for soul bones. Only when one cultivates to the level of title Douluo can one see what the other party has experienced in the illusion. This is also his pursuit of greatness in this life. Shi Nian also understood that his innate soul power was less than level 8, and the possibility of cultivating to the title Douluo realm with this innate qualification alone was very slim. Therefore, he set his sights on the soul bone. Hard work pays off. After several years, he finally got a 20,000-year-old fantasy wisdom skull by chance. But a 20,000-year-old soul bone is far from enough. If he wants to steadily break through the bottleneck of level 90, he needs more soul bones with higher age. At that time, when Nian learned that the Spirit Hall had begun to build momentum for the Golden Generation, he was certain that according to the Spirit Hall's usual style, they would definitely offer a 10,000-year soul bone as a reward for the champion in the all-continent Advanced Soul Master Elite competition of the Golden Generation. In order to win the championship reward of that competition, Shi Nian chose to join an ordinary academy among a number of high-level Soul Master academies, and got the position of Vice President of the academy with a cultivation level of Soul Emperor at the same time. Shi Nian is constantly looking for 7 students with gem martial spirits, and is constantly perfecting his idea of the 7-in-1 fusion technique. But this matter did not last long, because he was subdued by that adult and became his subordinate during the competition nearly 2 years ago. Fortunately, this lord was very generous. Whether it was the magical herb last time or the 10,000-year soul bone this time, both benefited me a lot and gave me hope to continue to explore the realm of title Douluo. Shi Nian thought that he was extremely concerned about tonight's mission, not only because it was related to his life, but also because the results of the mission could help him go further on the path of a soul master. My lord wants me to extract the secret formula of Zhuan Tiangong from Tang San. After completing the task, as the first great contributor, I will be qualified to practice Zhuan Tiangong, Tang Sect in another world, practicing techniques and meridians. If this Zhuan Tiangong is really as powerful as described on that piece of white paper, then after practicing this technique, it will be easy for me to open up the 8 extraordinary meridians and break through to the realm of title Douluo. Shi Nian thought to himself and looked forward to the arrival of night. More and more time passed in the waiting, and finally it was night. The winter night was very cold, and there were howling winds, so no one from the Tang sect was willing to work the night shift in such an environment. Therefore, Shi Nian did not need to hide his figure deliberately. He just restrained his own breath and walked in the Tang clan mansion as if he was in an empty place. Not long after, Shi Nian walked lightly to the door of the master's bedroom. By the candlelight burning in the bedroom, Shi Nian vaguely saw a figure sitting cross-legged on the bed, seemingly meditating and practicing. This sect master Tang is quite diligent in his training. Shi Nian sighed in his heart, and a special incense appeared in his hand. After lighting it, he used his soul power to silently send the smoke into the bedroom. This incense is made of the finest rosemary, which can make anyone who smells it fall into deep sleep without being prepared. It is also something that Lin Rong had people prepare specially for Shi Nian's action tonight. Although Tang San's current purple demon pupil's level is not yet able to break through illusions, it still allows him to know that he is facing an illusion. In order to ensure that Tang San has no idea of tonight's actions, it is necessary to let him fall into deep sleep before Shi Nian uses the nightmare. The raw material of the incense, rosemary, is taken from the yin-yang eyes of ice and fire. Therefore, the smoke produced by burning incense has extraordinary effects in less than 3 seconds. A slight sound came from the bedroom, and Tang San, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed, fell headfirst onto the quilt. End of this chapter. Chapter 115, Success, Xiaotian Treasure Record. With a click, Shi Nian pushed open the door and walked into the bedroom. Then, the 7th soul skill, Nightmare True Body, unfolded and began to arrange the illusion according to what Lin Rong had designed. Dream World. Tang San opened his eyes dazedly and was surprised to find that he was lying on the bed, and an old man with white hair and beard was sitting beside the bed. Master Tang Lan, U.S. He spoke. Tang San wanted to get up, but found that he was now wrapped in bandages all over his body. A feeling of weakness suddenly spread throughout his body, so he could only twist his head. When Tang Lan, the outer sect elder of the Tang sect, saw Tang San wake up, he signaled Tang San not to move and said, "The reason why it is called ghost seeing sorrow is because anyone who falls from it will surely die. Xiao San, half a month ago, you jumped off the ghost seeing sorrow. The Tang sect issued a death order, demanding to find you alive or dead. Only then did they luckily find you still alive under the ghost seeing sorrow. You were in a coma for half a month, and during that time you kept muttering about martial spirits, spirit rings, and so on. Fortunately, you woke up today. This old man and the sect master can rest assured. An extremely familiar voice echoed in Tang San's ears, causing Tang San to have a myriad of thoughts in his mind back then. It was Grandpa Tang Lan who brought him back to the Tang sect shortly after he was born, and that's how he was born. Therefore, there was no way Tang San would be mistaken in hearing Master Tang Lan's voice. This made Tang San think, so, those 11 years when I traveled through another world were all a dream during my coma, but it's so real, so real. At this time, Tang Lan interrupted Tang San's thoughts and said, Xiao-san, I haven't had time to congratulate you yet. From today on, you are the only successor to the leader of the Tang sect, the only heir to the Tang clan leader? Hearing this, Tang San almost subconsciously retorted, impossible, I am just an outer disciple, and the surname Tang was given to me by the sect. I don't have the blood of the Tang family flowing in my body. I made a serious mistake this time. It is a blessing from heaven that I am lucky enough to survive. How could the position of the Tang sect leader be passed to a sect sinner like me, Master Lan? Please don't joke with me. Tang Lan, who was sitting on the edge of the bed, heard this and opened his mouth slightly, wanting to say something, but before he could finish his words, a majestic and old voice came from outside the door. You sinner of the sect, who is it that has been gossiping in your ears and made you have such thoughts? If I knew about this, I would not forgive him. Hearing this voice, Tang San felt both excited and a little frightened, but before he could think about it, Tang clan leader Tang Dabian pushed open the door and walked in. Master Tang Lan stood up and bowed respectfully. Tang San, lying weakly on the bed, looked at the sect master who was over 2 decades old and walked in, and confessed, Master, my disciple Tang San stole the Tang sect's most precious treasure, the mysterious heavenly treasure record. I know my crime is unforgivable. Please punish me, Master, Grandpa. Tang Lan's words just now, as well as the appearance of the sect master who he had only met once distantly in his memory, left Tang San with no extra thoughts to think about the world he dreamed of during his coma at this moment. After the words of confession came out, Tang San's panic spread in his heart, causing beads of sweat to seep out of his already pale face. Perhaps seeing the emotions in Tang San's heart, Tang Da circulated the Xiaotian, injected his internal energy into Tang San's body to calm him down, and said, what you said just now is correct. If someone with mediocre talent did something like this, it would be an unforgivable crime, but you are different. The secret manual of our sect that you hide under the first brick in this room proves that you have not leaked our secret skills to others. Moreover, you have created the Buddha's Wrath Lotus, which no one in our Tang sect has been able to create in the past 200 years. Your extraordinary talent is enough to allow me to break the Tang sect's iron law, so you can just rest and recover without worrying too much. When you recover from your injury and inherit my position as the sect master, I will still be waiting for you to lead our Tang sect to another peak. 3 years passed in a flash. Tang San walked through the gate of the inner sect of the Tang sect. The inner sect disciples passing by him no longer had the arrogance they once had, but instead saluted and greeted him one after another. Young sect master, hearing these greetings, Tang San did not reply and walked directly back to his exclusive residence in the inner gate. For 3 years, Tang San spent 2.5 years recovering from his injuries. Half a year ago, after Tang Dou used Xuanshan Guang to check that Tang San's injuries had completely healed, he let him live in the inner gate. The inner gate, he had only been here once before, under the cover of night, when he was stealing the Xuanshan treasure record. Tang San only had a vague impression of the architectural layout inside. Tang San was surprised to find that the architectural layout of the inner gate was exactly the same as he had imagined. After living in the inner gate for half a year, the personality of every person here is consistent with what Tang San remembers, which makes him feel real and at ease, and makes him feel more and more that the 11 years of traveling through another world was just a dream in a coma. The master does not speak of strange things, force, disorder, or gods, time, travel, martial spirits, spirit beasts, spirit rings, these things that go beyond common sense. How could they possibly happen? Although the 11 years in the dream were very clear, they were fake after all. The world I live in is the real one. Tang San, Tang San, don't think about those illusory things anymore. Another year has passed. Tang San, who had just succeeded as the leader of the Tang sect, walked into the sutra library surrounded by a group of Tang sect elders on the side. Tang Da, who had already abdicated as the Tang sect's grand elder, said, Master, A new era should bring about a new atmosphere. As the leader of the new era, you need to personally transcribe a brand new Xiaotian treasure record as a symbol of the Tang sect's new era. Please, as he spoke, Tang Da handed the pen in his hand to Tang San. Great. Elder, I would be disrespectful to refuse your request. Tang San, feeling elated, took the pen, sat down surrounded by the elders, and wrote down the contents of Xiaotian Baolu on the fine rice paper. In reality, Tang San stood up with his eyes closed, walked barefoot to the desk and sat down, picked up the paper and pen prepared by Xinian and began to copy the Xiaotian treasure record. Although the Xiaotian treasure record contained a lot of content, with the help of the Xiaotian Guang and the Xuanai hand, Tang San wrote very quickly in 1.5 hours. The entire Xiaotian Baolu was copied. Tang San put down his pen, stood up, handed the transcribed Xiaotian Baolu to Xinian, and said, Great Elder, I have fulfilled my mission. Please review it and check if there are any errors compared to the original Xiaotian Baolu. Nian took the book handed over by Tang San, with a strange smile on his face, thinking, I really want to see what this kid experienced in the illusion. Unfortunately, I am not a titled Douluo yet, so I cannot peek into the illusion. Tang San, who was in the illusion, heard Tang Da's answer, turned around and walked towards somewhere. Seeing this, Xinian, who had completed his mission, lifted the nightmare, and the constructed illusion world suddenly collapsed. Tang San, who walked to the bedside, also fell down. Then, Xinian took out a golden flower, crushed it with his soul power and gave it to Tang San to take. The expenses of this lord's work are really huge. This is a top-quality forget-me-not herb. I'll use it right away. Nian muttered to himself, and did not forget to circulate his soul power and inject it into Tang San's body, so that the medicinal power of the forget-me-not grass would only make Tang San forget what happened in the dream world. After doing all this, Xinian walked out of the room, looked up to see the night beginning to fade away, and hurriedly left the Tang clan. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116, Distributing Secret Skills. On the bed, Tang San did not wake up from his coma until the sun was high in the sky. Young Master, you are finally awake. As soon as Tang San opened his eyes, he heard Tai Long's concerned voice. When the world in his eyes became clear, Tang San covered his dizzy head and asked Tai Tan, who was standing beside him, What happened? I clearly remember that I was meditating and practicing last night. How did I collapse? Tai Tan looked at Tang San's inquiring gaze, scratched his head and replied, Master, I don't know either. I woke up this morning and didn't see you practicing on the rooftop, so I came in to take a look. But I saw you lying on the bed unconscious, so I think, young master, you may have been overworked and fell asleep in a daze during training. This straightforward answer made Tang San fall into deep thought. He really hadn't had much rest since his aunt's funeral. Is it really as Tyrone said, that his body was overworked and activated its self-protection mechanism? Lin's manor, main house hall. On the sofa, Lin Rong casually flipped through the book in his hand, looking at the slightly sloppy handwriting on the book, and commented, Tang San's handwriting is not good. As a professional killer, he is not required to be a master of calligraphy, but how can he not even write the most basic words neatly? After hearing this, Xinian, who was standing aside, became more certain of his guess and thought to himself, sure enough, the master can understand those strange characters that look like ghostly scribbles. Logically speaking, this is the language of the Tang sect from another world. Since you can understand it, could it be that you are also from that world? The other world has such a magical technique, and those hidden weapons, which have many advantages. Compared with them, our world is really too backward in some aspects. Lin Rong hastily flipped through the Xiaotian treasure record and closed it, then said to Xinian, who was absorbed in his thoughts, the mission was accomplished well. Take these 3 unique skills, Zhuan Bianguang, ZG Demon Pupil, and Ghost Shadow Mizhuang, and their mental formulas and cultivation essentials. One is internal strength, one is a method for refining the eyes, and one is a method for lightening the body. They will be of great benefit to you after you have successfully practiced them. When Xinian heard these words, he saw more than 10 pieces of white paper floating in the air, and a whole bottle of ink was spilled on those pieces of white paper. Then, The ink was controlled by an invisible force and turned into words that he could understand. "Thank you, sir." Xiaotian happily took a dozen or so pieces of white paper floating in front of him and roughly flipped through them. I found that the content written on the white paper was a bit confusing and difficult to understand. Fortunately, there are annotations on it, as well as a very detailed map of the meridians throughout the body, which points out all the meridians in the body and some basic knowledge about the meridians. These annotations and meridian diagrams gave him the confidence to successfully practice Xiaotian Gong and ZG Demon Pupil without anyone's instruction. "If there is nothing else, I will take my leave first." After saying that, Xiaotian saw Lin Rong nod, and he hurriedly left the hall. After Xiaotian left, Lin Rong also opened the book in his hand again. Under the intervention of spiritual power, the text of the entire book changed, and soon transformed from the text of the other world into the text of the Douluo continent world. Therefore, this treasure list that records all the unique skills and rare treasures of the Tang clan is no longer a heavenly book that people in this world cannot understand, but a peerless secret book that anyone who can read can understand. The 6 unique skills of Tang sect: the internal strength and mental method, Zuanshenguang; the hand training method, Zuanayu hand; the method to train the eyes is the purple demonic pupil; the method to lighten the body is the ghost shadow; the method of capturing, control the crane and capture the dragon; the method of hidden weapon, 100 ways to use hidden weapons, among them, the part about absorbing the purple key of the morning glow in the purple demon eye; the unique key skills of controlling cranes and capturing dragons, and the ghostly body skills of ghost shadows and traces, are helpful to him in addition to his own practice. The remaining 3 unique skills: Zuanshenguang is not as good as Zisujing, Zuanayu hand is useless, and most of the techniques in hidden weapons solution require the power of Zuanshenguang to perform. There is no need for Lin Rong to practice it. After getting the Zuanshen treasure record, the originally leisurely winter days became busy. The guards and secret guards of the Lin family began to practice the 4 unique skills of Zuanshenguang, Ziji Demon Eye, controlling cranes and capturing dragons, and Ghost Shadow. Because of talent and time, Xiaotian Gong and Ziji Motong, the 2 unique skills for cultivating soul power and mental power respectively, are the main unique skills, while Kong He Kin Long and Gui Yingmi Zhuang, the 2 unique skills for assisting in combat, are the secondary unique skills. As for the 2 unique skills, Mysterious Jade Hand and hundreds of hidden weapon solutions, they were directly eliminated by Lin Rong. The average talents of these guards and secret guards are average. It is already a bit strenuous for them to practice the 4 main and auxiliary skills at the same time. If they add 2 more, they will not be able to cope with it. As for the old butler, after the young master gave him the 6 unique skills, he chose to practice all 6 skills at the same time. The reason why he made this choice was because every unique skill is a means to improve one's strength. The higher his strength, the more means he has, and the more calmly he can deal with various emergencies and better protect the young master's safety. After seeing the old housekeeper's choice, Lin Rong didn't think there was anything wrong with it. With the successive improvements of 3 immortal herbs and 4 top-grade soul bones, Grandpa Yu's qualifications have long reached the top level in the world. Tang San's talent is enough to allow him to practice 6 unique skills at the same time, so there is no reason why Grandpa Yu cannot do it for the other 2 families. In addition to the fixed Xiaotian Gong and Ziji Demon Eye, Lin Rong also allowed them to choose any one of the remaining 4 unique skills to practice in response to this. Both Dugubo and Du Guyan, grandfather and grandson, chose the unique martial art of Ghost Shadow. The Dragon Snake couple has a wider variety of choices. Meng Shu chose the grappling technique of controlling the crane and catching the dragon, while Zhao Xiangxiang chose the illuminating technique of Ghost Shadow and Mystery. The couple's granddaughter Meng Yiren, because of her personal preference for hidden weapons, gave up the Ghost Shadow Mystery that was more suitable for her and chose the Hidden Weapon 100 Solutions. As for Ma Hongjun and the guard Su Pan, Lin Rong had the 2 unique skills, Zuanshenguang and Ziji Demon Pupil, sent to Jialing Pass and handed them over to Su Pan. There are many people in the army and many eyes are watching. Among the 6 unique skills, only Zuanshenguang and Ziji Demon Pupil will not attract attention when practicing, so Lin Rong only gave them these 2 unique skills. The emergence of the technique set off a cultivation craze in their small circle, and even the severe cold of winter could not extinguish their enthusiasm for cultivation. Time passed slowly. Soon, the last month of winter passed. Early spring is coming. Manner. In the quiet room for practice on the ground, the old butler sat cross-legged, practicing Zuanshenguang to open up the Ren Meridian, the only one of the 8 extraordinary meridians that he had not opened up with his soul power as high as level 97. He broke through 9 levels of Zhuangshengguang in just over 20 days and practiced a technique to the highest level of Sanhou Juting. At this moment, the jade-white soul power surged in the meridians, constantly impacting the bottleneck of the Ren meridian at the state of 3 flowers gathering at the top of the head. The soul power cultivated is of extremely high quality, and is also endowed with a unique characteristic of Zhuangshengguang, that it is endless. As time slowly passed, the bottleneck of the Ren meridian gradually loosened, and was finally completely broken at a certain moment. All the 8 extraordinary meridians are connected, connecting the sky and the earth and the body in an instant. The internal force of Zhuangshengguang ran through the meridians like a huge wave, completing a truly complete circulation of the whole body. End of this chapter. Chapter 117. Anxious. A huge suction force burst out from the old butler, madly devouring the surrounding heaven and earth energy like a black hole. His own soul power cultivation was also improving steadily under the rapid operation of Zhuangshengguang. The whole process lasted more than half an hour. Grandpa. How do you feel? On the ground, the old butler had just finished his training when he heard the young master's voice. He felt the changes in his body after his 8 meridians were opened, and replied with a smile, "It feels great. I didn't expect that just by opening up the last meridian, my whole body feels like it has been reborn. My soul power has also increased by a little over half a level. Now I am less than half a level away from level 98 soul power, which saves me several years of hard training." This answer was within Lin Rong's expectations. Although he had all 8 extraordinary meridians opened up in his mother's womb, his pure body under the innate fetal breath made Lin Rong unable to experience the feeling of being reborn after all 8 meridians were opened up. However, in the acquired world, the breakthrough of the first 2 realms of the Zisa Sutra made Lin Rong deeply understand this. Looking at the layer of light gray impurities on the old housekeeper's body, Lin Rong pointed to a bucket of hot water he had prepared in advance and said, "Grandpa, I've prepared the hot water. Go take a shower. It's not pleasant to feel sticky all over your body." After the old butler took a bath and changed his clothes, the master and servant left the quiet room. With the arrival of early spring, the snow in the courtyard began to melt. The moist air is mixed with the fragrance of soil and grass leaves, which makes people feel comfortable. The master and servant strolled leisurely in the courtyard, enjoying a moment of tranquility. It was not until half an hour later that they arrived at the main hall of the house. Dugubo, who had been sitting on the sofa waiting for a long time, saw the 2 of them come in and immediately said impatiently, "Sir, you are finally here. When are we going to set out to look for the invincible Yang you mentioned yesterday?" Lin Rong was sure that the old butler was about to make a breakthrough. He then found Dugubo and told him that Yang Wudi of the Pazi clan had a way to cure the backlash poison in his body. After learning the news, Dugubo stayed directly in the manor and kept asking them when they would set off. Hearing this, Lin Rong said calmly, "Why are you in such a hurry? You've been poisoned for life. What's the difference between 1 or 2 days, sir? I am not in a hurry." Dugubo kept circling in front of Lin Rong and said, "It's just that if we can determine the feasibility of detoxification sooner, our Yanayan can also get rid of the effects of the poison backlash sooner." Although Du Yuan took 3 Dragon Rhythm Immortal Ganoderma pills, her martial soul, the green phosphorus snake, showed signs of transforming into a dragon, but this only reduces the speed of the poison's backlash, and cannot eradicate the effects of the spirit's backlash. Before Lin Rong told Dugubo about this, Dugubo had thought that it would be better to maintain the status quo. At least Du Yuan had the ability to cultivate her soul power to the level of Soul Saint 70 before the backlash of her martial soul poison broke out. In this way, they can enter the valley where the ice and fire springs are located, use the environment there to suppress the poison in the body, and survive. When Dugubo learned that Yang Wudi had the ability to cure the poison in his body, hope began to ignite in his heart again. Who would want to be a monster that is neither human nor ghost when you can live in the sun like a normal person? If Yang Wudi could really cure the poison in his body, he would definitely be able to cure his granddaughter, whose symptoms were much milder than his walking to the main seat and sitting down. Lin Rong saw Dugubo mention Du Yuan and asked casually, "I remember that your granddaughter and the grandson of the old Long family, Yu and Heng, were a couple in love. It is said that a woman in love has 0 IQ, so she should not have told her lover about those unique skills, right?" Hearing this casual tone, Dugubo's heart skipped a beat and he quickly replied, "Please rest assured, sir. Regarding this matter, I have repeatedly told my Yanayan not to tell that boy. Yanayan is not an ignorant child. She knows what to do. You know what is going on." Hearing this, Lin Rong couldn't help but shake his head. If it were any other world, He would believe it, but this is Douluo continent, so forget it. Seeing that Dugubo's anxious eyes were still on him, Lin Rong said nonchalantly, "It's okay, it's not a big deal, you just need to know that without my permission, only the dead can know the existence of these unique skills. If the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus clan knows about this, we will destroy them. Also, tell your granddaughter that if Yu Xianheng learns about the secret skill and the news leaks out, Yu Xianheng will be dealt with by your granddaughter herself." After saying this, seeing Dugubo standing there in panic, Lin Rong added, "Okay, we'll leave early tomorrow morning. Go back and pack your things, and say goodbye to your granddaughter." Dugubo, who was standing aside, nodded and turned to leave the hall. On the way back home, Dugubo secretly rejoiced. Fortunately, because she had just obtained the technique, Yannian stayed at home to practice seriously for the past 20 days and did not date that brat. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that Yannian didn't leak the secrets of her unique skills to that brat. After you go back, you should honestly convey the adult's words to Yannian. With the life of that brat at the cost, the more Yannian loves him, the less likely she will tell him about her unique skills. In the past, Dugubo thought that Yu Xianheng had decent talent, and with the training of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus clan, it would not be a problem for him to cultivate to a high-level soul. Douluo. He was simply unhappy that Yu Xianheng had kidnapped his daughter Yannian, and he still had some approval for this future grandson-in-law. But now, after Dugubo witnessed a true genius, Yu Xianheng's only decent talent instantly became a deduction. There is no need to compare Yu Xianheng with that adult, nor is there any need to compare Yu Xianheng with Tang Sen, the son of Tang Hao. However, when he learned about Dime Yubei's information through the Secret Guard's intelligence network, he discovered that the third prince of the Xingluo Empire had a cultivation talent far higher than that of the young master of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus clan. Suddenly, Dugubo could not find a single good point in Yu Xianheng, and he became more and more displeased with him. He has no talent, no good looks, and is even dull when it comes to love. He doesn't understand what romance is at all. Therefore, Dugubo really didn't understand what his Yannian liked about that brat. However, his Yannian just likes it. In order to take care of the man's self-esteem, she never reveals her current true soul power level in front of Yu Xianheng. While thinking, Dugubo thought of Meng Shu and Zhao Xiangxiang and his wife, and he couldn't help but have a guess in his mind. Could it be that it's because dragons and snakes are attracted to each other? The attraction of the male dragon to the female snake made Yannian fall in love with that brat at first sight. Yes, that must be the case. End of this chapter. Chapter 118, Moon Pass Ghost. The next day, early morning, a carriage set out from Xiandao City and headed south. The Xiandao Empire is located in the north of the continent, and the Xingluo Empire is located in the south of the continent. Therefore, the distance between their destination, Yufeng City, and Xiandao City spanned half of the continent. When the carriage reached the south of the Xingluo Empire, it was more than a month later. During this month, the continental climate has also ushered in the most prosperous season of spring. At the same time, the 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference, held every 10 years, was held as scheduled in Yunnan's capital, attracting flower and plant lovers from all over the mainland. The capital of Yunnan, it is also known as the City of Flowers and the Holy City of Flower Fairies, located in the southern north of the Xingluo Empire due to its geographical location close to the central region of the Xingluo Empire and its unique geographical environment. The capital of Dan has a pleasant climate that is like spring all year round. The world's top florists gather here, and with the help of Yunnan's capital city's unique environment and climate, they have cultivated countless precious flower species over the past thousands of years. Lin Rong and his party's carriage arrived at this continent-famous capital of flowers 2 days before the 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference in the city. On the streets, the carriage moved slowly through the crowded crowd in the carriage. Listening to the noisy sounds outside the carriage, Dugubo couldn't help but ask, "Sir, why are we going into Dian capital? You don't look like a flower and plant lover." Hearing this, Lin Rong, who was sitting on the other side of the carriage, withdrew his gaze from outside the carriage and said nonchalantly, "It's just on my way. It's a grand event held every 10 years. Can't I join in the fun? Moreover, your mortal enemy is a famous flower and plant lover throughout the continent. He has never missed any of the previous 100 Flowers Appreciation Conferences. The two polar forbidden areas of Zhuhuaguan and Gimri are unique in the continent. I have long intended to subdue them. This time I happened to meet them on the way, so I did this thing that I have been planning for a long time." Zhuhuaguan? These 3 words made Dugubo narrow his eyes, and he immediately thought of the few chrysanthemum petals left in the Valley of Ice and Fire Springs. He clenched his fists and looked fierce. Seeing this, Lin Rong rested her head on the old housekeeper's shoulder and revealed Dugubo's thoughts. Why, you are confident now and want to compete with him? His thoughts were exposed, so Dugubo simply said, in the past, that guy at Jihuaguan relied on his soul power being 4 levels higher than mine, and he always had more power than me, but now, I have cultivated my soul power to level 93, while Jihuaguan is only level 95. The difference in soul power between the two levels, 10,000-year soul bones, are enough to make up for this gap. Besides, I still have some personal grievances to settle with Jihuaguan, so I will fight him this time no matter what. Hearing this, Lin Rong's calm expression hid an expression of wanting to watch the fun. As the mastermind of the yin-yang Eyes of Ice and Fire incident, he certainly knew what personal grudges Dugubo was referring to. However, Lin Rong did not intend to tell Dugubo the truth. Since Jihuaguan has been made to take the blame anyway, why not just let him bear it forever? Even if the truth comes out one day, it won't be a big problem. Dugubo is a smart man and knows exactly what to do. Therefore, under Dugubo's gaze, Lin Rong agreed to his request to fight at Juhu Pass. It's up to you, as long as you can bring Jihuaguan to me in the end. All the hotels in Yunnan's capital city were fully booked because of the 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference to be held in 2 days. They arrived late and did not book a hotel room in advance, so they had to rent a house with a yard at a high price as their place to stay. The 3 of them got off the carriage and walked inside, while the driver led the 4 horses to the side to feed hay. On the way, Lin Rong looked back and saw Dugubo was still thinking about Juhu Pass, so he said a few words to bring him back to his senses. Don't keep thinking about this matter. According to previous intelligence, Jihuaguan will usually arrive in Diandu City the day before the 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference begins, which is tomorrow. Instead of thinking about it all the time, it's better to take a good rest now and gather your strength to face the battle with Juhu Pass tomorrow. At the same time, a carriage decorated with various flowers was heading towards the capital of Yunnan. Old Ghost, are you crazy? You are willing to take the initiative to accompany me to the 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference? In the carriage, Yu Yuan, dressed in a snow-white robe, looked at his old partner sitting next to him, confused by his abnormal behavior. You're the one having a brain cramp, damn chrysanthemum. The ghost in a black robe said expressionlessly, I'm just feeling depressed. We just completed the Pope's mission not long ago, so I have plenty of time during the holidays. I just want to go on a long trip to relax. It's just that I couldn't decide where to go to relax. Seeing that you are going to attend the 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference, I thought it would be nice to relax in the capital of Yunnan, so I decided to go with you. After hearing this, Yu Yuan was also quite emotional, and said indignantly, yeah, I'm also feeling depressed. It's such an important mission, and we completed it so well, but why don't we get any substantial rewards? Think about how loyal we are to the Spirit Hall and how we have worked hard for it for decades without complaint, yet we haven't even gotten a single soul bone. Old Ghost, you're lucky. When you were acquiring your 7th spirit ring, you were lucky enough to get a piece of right leg bone from that spirit beast, but I don't have your luck. I don't even have a soul bone yet. When I think about the 3 little guys of the golden generation, each having a 10,000-year soul bone in their hands in a few years, my heart aches. Even that old poisonous creature Dugubo dared to mock me for not having a soul bone. This is simply too much. With every word he spoke, the expression on Yu Yuan's face kept changing, corresponding to the various tones of his voice. No, the more I think about it, the angrier I get. At this 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference, I will definitely buy any rare flower species that I like. Old Ghost, if I don't have enough money, remember to lend me your money first. Seeing the look Yu Yuan was giving him, Gimli nodded silently in agreement, and spoke to comfort his old partner who was in a bad mood. I have my luck, and you have your luck. Who knows, at this 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference, you might be able to get a chrysanthemum of the same variety as your spirit. Forget it. Yu Yuan didn't have much hope for this. My martial soul, Kisantong Xianju, is a fairy-grade medicinal herb, a rare treasure that has seized the fortune of heaven and earth. Such an immortal product can only be born naturally and naturally. There is absolutely no possibility of it being cultivated later in life. Also, although the environment in Diandu City is good, It does not meet the conditions required for the growth of the Kirin Tongshan chrysanthemum. Therefore, the probability of it appearing at the 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference is basically zero. End of this chapter. Chapter 119, Chase and Escape. After finishing speaking, perhaps because he felt that this had embarrassed the old ghost, Yu Yuan added, but nothing is certain. Maybe I'm just lucky enough to encounter the strange chrysanthemum at this 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference. Although it was just a response, there was still a hint of hope in Yu Yuan's tone, just like he said, if you are lucky enough, almost impossible things can happen as human beings, living in this world. We always need some hope to live better. One day and one night past noon, the carriage carrying Yu Yuan and Gima Yi drove into the 10-mile radius of Dianju City. 3 hours. Lin Rong was eating lunch in the rented house. After sensing the presence of someone, he looked towards the outside of the city. The masculine power of the Kirin Tongshan and the coldness of the ghost. It's obvious that they must be Yu Yuan and the ghost. The remaining one with ordinary soul power fluctuations should be the coachman. In the dining room, Duuluo, who was sitting next to him, saw this and immediately asked, "Sir, is that guy from Zhuhuaguan here? Tell me where he is, and I'll go meet him right away." Hearing this, Lin Rong put down his bowl and chopsticks, took the handkerchief handed to him by the old housekeeper, wiped his mouth, and said with a slightly playful tone, "Oh? Are you sure, you don't come to Zhuhu Pass alone? Are you going there to die? Not alone?" Duuluo was stunned when he heard this, but he instinctively replied, "Isn't this normal? The driver is also a human being. I am afraid." Before he could finish his words, Duuluo's brain started working and he understood what Lin Rong said, and his heart skipped a beat, but he still wanted to confirm it, so he asked Lin Rong, "Sir, could that person be a ghost?" "Yes, it's him." Lin Rong nodded and then ordered, "Since Gima Yi is here too, the plan has changed. You can forget about the battle with Yu Yuan. At this moment, they are still nearly 10 miles away from Dianju City. You should leave the city now and head towards the 11 o'clock direction to stop them before they enter the city, then find a way to lead them into the deep mountains and old forests. I will leave a green leaf mark on you and will teleport directly to your side when the time comes." This Duuluo said with difficulty after hearing this, "Sir, the ghost is a sensitive attack type. There is no way I can outrun him. How about you change someone else?" As he was talking, Duuluo stopped talking among the people present. The only one with a lower status than him was the Lin family's coachman, and it seemed that he was the only person most suitable to do this. "Don't worry." Lin Rong cheered for Duuluo. "Hunters, enjoy the process of chasing prey. Ghosts will not kill you. If your life is really in danger, I will immediately activate the Kingai mark on your body and specially relocate you to a safe place." Time waits for no one. If you are any later, they will enter the city. Why don't you hurry up? "Yes, I'll go right away," Duuluo replied with a depressed look on his face. 2/4 of an hour later, outside the city of Dian, Yu Yuan looked at the destroyed carriage with a look of grief on his face and shouted hysterically, "Ah! My most beloved carriage, and the flowers adorning it are all my rare collections. You old bastard, I'm not done with you." While Yu Yuan was still roaring in the same place, the ghost beside him had already turned into a blurry black shadow and was chasing Duuluo, who immediately fled after destroying the carriage. As a title Douluo of the Agility Attack Department, Gima Yi has always followed Duuluo like a shadow, and no matter what Duuluo does, he cannot get rid of him. "Old poison, have you gone mad?" During the chase, a ghostly and eerie voice echoed in Duuluo's ears, "You have nothing to do. Why did you go and provoke Zhuhuaguan? Now you see, you didn't expect me to be here. When Zhuhuaguan catches up, just let him beat you up and make him calm down." Both parties were titled Douluo, and they both knew what kind of hardship and sweat the other had paid to cultivate to this level. Therefore, unless there is a life and death feud or a hostile relationship, they basically will not kill the other party. HMPH. Duuluo snorted coldly, unwilling to be outdone. "You are the one who has lost his mind. I am just returning the favor. They are just some flowers to decorate the carriage. How can they compare to the rare herbs in my entire valley?" As the two were chasing each other, the furious Yu Yuan gradually caught up at the fastest speed in his life and just happened to hear Duuluo's last words. This made Yu Yuan even angrier, and he cursed at Duuluo, who was fleeing in front of him. "What do you know, you old poisonous person who doesn't understand art? To me, every flower seed in my collection is my life. You Should be thankful that the flower seeds decorating the carriage are not the only ones I have collected, otherwise you would have died today no matter what. Ruins of a carriage. The driver stood there, looking at the two figures that suddenly appeared in panic and helplessness. You should get some sleep first. Whether you can wake up or not depends on Yu Guan's choice. As soon as he finished speaking, a fine blue-green electric current shot out from Lin Rong's fingertips, knocking the driver unconscious and then storing him in the soul guide that could store living things. We still need to deal with the carriage ruins here. We can't let anyone find any traces of them. With a thought, countless banyan tree roots emerged from the ground and dragged the broken carriage deep into the ground. Alright, Grandpa Yu, we should chase them too. Don't let them get away. Half a day later, deep in a wild forest. Run, why don't you run? Yu Guan was quite surprised when Duuluo suddenly stopped, but in his anger he did not realize that there was anything wrong. However, the calm ghost on the side became suspicious and immediately released his mental power to check the surroundings, but surprisingly did not find any ambush on the opposite side. Duuluo was leaning against a big tree. His clothes seemed to have been torn by something sharp, and his exposed skin was covered with fine wounds. When Duuluo heard Yu Guan's words, he smiled smugly and said sarcastically, "Run, what? A joke. You are the ones who should run now. Who doesn't know how to say something cruel?" Yu Guan curled his lips in disdain and raised the martial spirit in his hand, ready to launch an attack. Humph, death is imminent. Halfway through his words, he suddenly saw a silver-white light flash across Duuluo's body. After the flash of light, two figures appeared beside Duuluo. Chrysanthemum, run! The ghost, who had been observing carefully, sensed the fatal danger from the old man the moment the two figures appeared, and the ghost instantly activated his martial soul and turned into an illusory ghost shadow, wrapped around Yu Guan and quickly fled. Want to escape? It's too late. A child's voice echoed throughout the forest at the same time. All the trees in the forest instantly turned into thick and ancient banyan trees in the Vine Dragon Prisoner Sky formation. Countless branches and vines blocked the ghost's escape route. Lin Rong, along with the old butler and Duuluo, instantly appeared in front of Yu Guan and the ghost not far away. Old ghost, old chrysanthemum. Seeing that they had no way to retreat, Yu Guan and Gimli looked at each other and decided to fight to the death. As the seventh soul ring lit up, Yu Guan also used the true body of the Kirantong Xianju. End of this chapter. Chapter 120. Bargaining. Why are you so tense and resolute? You're making me look like a villain. The blue gold spear condensed in Lin Rong's hand. More than half of his mental power was instantly infused into the spear, emitting a flowing light golden light. Then, Lin Rong swept the spear across, waving a huge crescent-shaped spear light that pierced through the bodies of Zhu and Gui. The crescent-shaped spear light is condensed by the Emperor's holy power and can forcibly interrupt the soul skills that the Soul Master is currently performing, which naturally includes the Soul Master's seventh soul skill, the true body of the martial soul. The two people, Zhu and Gui, who were hit by the spear, were affected by this. The Kirantong Xianju real body and the ghost real body that they had already displayed were forcibly interrupted, and they exited the form of martial soul a real body. The seventh black soul ring on their bodies, which was originally shining with light, became dim at this moment. The gigantic Kirantong Xianju quickly shrank back into Yu Guan's hand, and the ghost also changed from an illusory to almost transparent ghost back to human form. How can this be? 3 exclamations sounded almost at the same time. Yu Guan, Gui Mei, and even Duuluo, who was standing next to Lin Rong, all three of them looked at the blue gold spear with astonishment at this moment. They were all thinking the same thing. What kind of magical object is this spear? It can actually forcibly interrupt the martial soul true body displayed by the title Douluo. This unprecedented thing happened before their eyes and almost overturned their cognition. The situation before him made Yu Guan Gimli feel desperate. The true body of a martial soul, except for a very small number of special martial souls, or the true body of a martial soul that only exists in legends, or the cultivation has reached a legendary peak of level 99. Otherwise, once the martial soul's true body state ends, the seventh soul skill will fall into a 7-day cooling period, during which time the soul skill cannot be used again. Having lost their martial spirit bodies, they are afraid that they don't even have the qualifications to fight to the death on the branch of the banyan tree. Duuluo looked at the blue gold spear in Lin Rong's hand. His emerald green eyes rolled in his eye sockets, And the awe in his heart increased a few points. Unlike the three of them who were surprised, Lin Rong was not at all surprised when he saw the effect of the Emperor's Holy Spear actively using the Emperor's holy power. The upper limit of the forced interruption of soul skills depends on Lin Rong's own mental strength. This is a sutra that he practiced, although not a method specifically for cultivating mental power, is a top-level scripture for the simultaneous cultivation of essence, energy and spirit. It has been more than 10 years since Lin Rong started practicing the Zisa Sutra in the womb. During this period, he also absorbed the immortal herb Wang Chuan Chu Shui Lu. Therefore, his current level of mental strength is much stronger than the old butler, whose soul power cultivation is as high as level 97. In addition, in order to ensure the success of the previous attack, he injected 50% of his mental power into the Emperor's Holy Spear. The Emperor's holy power of this intensity, unless it is Tang San who cultivated the purple demon pupil to the 4th level vast in the original work, it is impossible for an ordinary titled Douluo to have a mental strength exceeding 50% of his mental strength, seeing that the atmosphere was somewhat dull intense. The Emperor's Holy Spear in Lin Rong's hand turned into starlight and dissipated. Then, he turned his head and instructed Dugu, "You go back first, Dugu." Bo saw the atmosphere on the scene and knew that he and Zhou did not get along well, and staying here would only be a hindrance. Therefore, after hearing Lin Rong's instructions, he resisted the urge to mock Zhou, suppressed the corners of his mouth that were about to rise, and turned around and left with Lin Rong's permission. Dugubo walked out of the Tenglong prison formation smoothly. "Okay, don't be nervous, there are no outsiders here now, we can have a good chat." The vines weaved into a set of tables and chairs in the open space. A set of tea sets flew out and started to brew tea automatically out of thin air. "You're welcome, come and sit down." Lin Rong walked to the rattan chair as if no one was around and sat down, greeting Ju and Gui. The change in style was so sudden that Yu Yuan and Gui were a little at a loss, but people have to bow their heads under the eaves, so they could only resign themselves to walking to the rattan chair and sit down, looking from time to time at the 6 rhythmic soul rings on Lin Rong's body. Among them, the 6th soul ring was still shining and maintaining the vine dragon prison sky formation, making them both realize that this tea was not so delicious. After a while, the brewed tea was automatically poured into the teacup and floated in front of everyone. Picking up the teacup in front of him, Lin Rong blew gently, took a sip, and did not rush to state his purpose, but spoke to himself. "I heard that you and the former Pope Jin's Unji once hunted down Tang Hao together. After that battle, the strongest one, Kaiang Sunji, died of illness, but you, who were weaker, survived, and therefore were disliked by the Jin family. In order to consolidate your position in the Spirit Hall, you immediately joined Saint Bibidong after she succeeded to the position of Pope. As the first elders to pledge allegiance, you naturally became the confidants of the new Pope Bibidong. Your status in the Spirit Hall has greatly increased, and you are now in great glory. At the same time, as Bibidong's confidant, you have done many shady things for her. However, your hard work over the years seems to have brought you no substantial rewards except for superficial style." Having said this, Lin Rong paused for a while, took a sip of tea to moisten his throat, and observed the reactions of Zhuge and the others. Although some of what he just said was his speculation based on the original work, most of it was accurate information collected by the secret guards over the years, and his speculation was also based on facts in the original novel. When Jin Ringsu tried to recruit Tang San, she promised Tang San to kill in front of him all the people who had participated in the siege of him and Xiao Wu at that time, except Tulina, including Zhu Daluo and Ghost Daluo. Although Jin Ringsu valued Tang San's potential, she agreed to Tang San's condition after only a brief consideration. In her heart, she also blamed Zhu Daluo and Ghost Daluo for failing to fulfill their duty to protect her father as expected. Kikuki and the other two responded with a silent silence. If false lies are sugar-coated bullets, then the truth is a sharp sword. The cruel truth left Yu Guan and Gui speechless with no words to refute. Of the two, Gui, who as the most calm and composed, was the first to figure out from these words that the purpose of the person in front of him saying these words was to shake their loyalty to the Spirit Hall. The purpose of the other party doing this is nothing more than to recruit him and Yu Guan for their martial soul fusion technique. Just like the Spirit Hall recruited him and Yu Guan at a high price for their bipolar forbidden field. Feeling confident, the ghost suddenly became calm and picked up the teacup and drank it in one gulp. Yu Guan, who was sitting nearby, saw the old ghost like this and quickly figured out the cause and effect of the matter. Only then did he have the mind to pick up the teacup and sip it carefully. After a while, Yu Guan finished drinking the tea in the cup and asked, Although the Spirit Hall has not given us anything substantial, the position of Spirit Hall Elder alone is lofty and has endless wealth and splendor. Old Ghost and I serve as elders in the Spirit Hall, gaining both fame and fortune. Although we have less freedom, everything has a price, right? There is no mention of the Jin family lineage of the Spirit Hall in these 2 sentences. I think Yu Guan himself knows that this is an irrefutable fact. He also knew that he and Lao Ji Yui had no choice, so the purpose of saying this was just to increase their value. So, what price can you offer? Let Lao Ji Yui and I, 2 titled Douluo who possess the spirit fusion technique, abandon the Spirit Hall and join your army. Things went even more smoothly than Lin Rong had imagined. Without him saying anything, Yu Guan took the initiative to offer to recruit the person. What he didn't know was that this was all thanks to Bibi Dong not long ago. Yu Guan and Gui Mei secretly conquered many subordinate kingdoms and principalities of the 2 empires in the name of the Spirit Hall, and brilliantly completed the tasks assigned to them by Bibi Dong. But after learning that the mission was completed, Bibi Dong did not express anything, which made Zhu Douluo and Ghost Douluo feel frustrated. Up to this moment, the anger in the hearts of both of them had not completely subsided. And even the dissatisfaction towards the Spirit Hall that had accumulated in their hearts for many years showed signs of erupting in the current situation. All these reasons combined made Yu Guan, who had no choice, take the initiative to ask to be recruited by the other party. Since Yu Guan had made it clear, Lin Rong was happy to speak frankly. Soul masters cultivate their soul power and obtain soul rings. In addition to gaining a more noble status and extraordinary wealth, in essence, they are nothing more than improving their own strength. When a soul master has great power, isn't it easy to obtain any status or wealth that he wants? You 2 are titled Douluo. Wherever you go, you will be respected and well fed by those forces. Therefore, I will not say more about wealth and glory. These are just the most basic things and are not worth mentioning. This immediately aroused the curiosity of Yu Guan and Gimini. They couldn't help but sit up straight and look at each other. Yu Guan asked, "So, the price you offered is a 10,000-year soul bone?" There was a faint, yet strong hint of desire and excitement in his tone. In response, Lin Rong shook his head slightly. "No, guess again. It's one of the things you desire most in your life." "The thing I desire most?" Yu Guangxin's heart skipped a beat, and he released his martial spirit almost subconsciously. It was a strange chrysanthemum, with a gorgeous purple color all over. The stamen in the center was more than half a foot higher than the petals, and the top of the stamen was shining with a faint golden light. Although there was no fragrance emanating from the flower, Yu Guan lowered his head and sniffed the chrysanthemum stamens, with an indescribable satisfaction and obsession written on his face. After a long while, a trembling voice came out from Yu Guan's mouth. "Kirantong Xianju, you have Kirantong Xianju in your hand, right?" End of this chapter. Chapter 121. Master Duan Shui. Hearing this, Lin Rong did not reply, but instead demonstrated his answer with practical actions. A flash of light passed by, and a chrysanthemum exactly the same as the one in Yu Guan's hand appeared in Lin Rong's hand. This magical herb, from which he had once plucked a few petals, was planted in the soil dug from the yin-yang eye of ice and fire for more than 3 years, and the lost petals have now grown back from the moment it appeared. Yu Guan's eyes fell on the immortal item he had been thinking about day and night, and he could no longer look away. The Kirantong Xianzhou and Yu Guan's martial soul share the same origin. The trembling of his martial soul tells him that the chrysanthemum in front of him is a genuine fairy herb. The things he desired most in his life were 2 kinds of flowers and plants. It is also the strange chrysanthemum that has the same origin as his martial soul, and it is also the acacia heartbroken red, which is known as the king of immortal products. Now, one of these 2 things appeared before him. Yu Guan no longer cared about the spirit hall or Bibi Dong. He only wanted to get the immortal item in front of him. "Yes, I am willing. As long as you are willing to give it to me, I, Zhu Daoluo Yu Guan, am willing to be loyal to you forever." The eager tone and humble posture directly shocked the ghost sitting next to him. He had known Yu Guan all his life, but had never seen Yu Guan like this before. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. "You gave in so quickly, how can I raise your value?" Looking at Yu Guan, who was half kneeling on the ground, Lin Rong handed the Kirantong Xianju in his hand to him and said softly, "Flowers are extraordinary, they choose their masters to serve. From today on, this immortal product belongs to you." On the ground, Yu Guan, who was half kneeling, carefully took the Kirantong Xianju with both hands, then bowed and thanked. "Thank you." Yu Guan is a man of his word. "From today on, I am willing to serve you loyally." May I ask your name, sir? While asking this question, Yu Guangxin was also wondering which hidden powerful force in the mainland the person in front of him came from. The martial spirit is related to the banyan tree. The only family famous in the entire continent is the hereditary Marcus Dou family of the Sky Dou Empire. Could it be that the person in front of him is the hidden genius of this generation of the Dou family? The surrounding banyan trees were indeed the species of thousand-leaf banyan before they evolved into soul beasts. This discovery made him more certain of his guess. Moreover, Yu Guan could also confirm that the person in front of him was definitely no older than 12 years old. A soul emperor who is less than 12 years old. What the hell is this monster? Lin Rong didn't know what Yu Guan was thinking. After hearing his question, he replied, Xiaotian Lin family, Lin Rong, not the Dou family? But the Lin family. Yu Guan was puzzled and asked curiously, Sir, I remember that the Lin family's martial spirit is the dragon soul vine. Your martial spirit? Suddenly, the voice stopped. Yu Guan looked at the 9-curved vine dragon that flew out of Lin Rong's sleeve. His expression was confused at first, and then suddenly enlightened. He thought he knew the truth. Dragon soul protection. Yes, it is normal for noble families to marry each other. If your mother's family is the Dou family, then everything makes sense, sir. You have twin martial souls, right? You are able to protect yourself with a dragon soul without reaching the level of soul saint. This talent makes me admire you, Jian. Yu Guan obviously misunderstood something, but Lin Rong was too lazy to explain. He would know it later anyway. On the side, the ghost who had been sitting on the rattan chair without saying a word stood up to show his submission when he saw this. Ghost? Douluo Gimme is willing to be loyal to you forever, just like Chrysanthemum Douluo. The ghost said this, but he felt bitter in his heart. There's nothing he can do about it, since Li and Yu Guan will rise and fall together. Each of them is just an ordinary title Douluo, nothing special about them. Only when the two of them work together and possess the bipolar forbidden area of martial soul fusion skills, they will become the popular cakes that all major forces will compete for. Since Yu Guan has surrendered, this is the only option left for him at this point. Instead of waiting for the other party to speak, it would be better for him to take the initiative to declare his allegiance, which would also slightly increase the person's favorability towards him in the future. Working under him will make your life better. Seeing that the ghost was so considerate and saved him the effort, Lin Rong took out the immortal Narcissus jade muscle and bone that he had prepared for it with a satisfied look on his face. This Narcissus is for you. You can ask the chrysanthemum in your family to find out what its specific effects are. Yu Guan, who was obsessed with appreciating the strange chrysanthemum, heard his nickname and looked towards the source of the voice. He was immediately attracted by another fairy product in Lin Rong's hand. It was a daffodil that was as white as jade and spotless. Narcissus. Jade muscles and bones. Yu Guan called out its name the moment he recognized it, and with a tone of genuine joy for his old partner, he explained, Old ghost, this Narcissus is just like my chrysanthemum. Both are legendary immortal herbs, although the compatibility of Narcissus jade muscle and bone with you is not as perfect as that between me and Kirantong Xianju. It is definitely not bad. This immortal product can nourish the tendons and bones, and can circulate qi through the 8 extraordinary meridians. The attribute of this immortal product itself is yin, which is a perfect match for your martial spirit ghost. After listening to Yu Guan's explanation, Gui Mei took the Narcissus jade muscle bone from Lin Rong and looked at it curiously for a while, then asked, Qi flows through the 8 extraordinary meridians? What is that? Yu Guan was choked by this question, but then he replied confidently, how should I know? Anyway, that's what is recorded in the literature. This answer made Gimme glance at Yu Guan speechlessly, and then look at Lin Rong for help. Don't look at me. Dugubo knows. You can go ask him. Lin Rong planned to be a master of keeping things balanced. He gave benefits to Zhuge and the other two, but he also couldn't let down his old subordinate Dugubo, so he continued, by the way, if you work under me, you can practice some unique skills, which will be of great benefit to even a title Douluo. However, since you are new here and have not made any contribution yet, you have obtained 2 immortal herbs from me. I cannot just give you my unique skills. How about this? My old subordinates all know these unique skills. As long as you can get the approval of the one with the highest cultivation level among them, I will teach you the unique skills. After saying that, seeing the ghost's eyes fall on the old housekeeper, Lin Rong added, Yubo is not an outsider, so he is not a subordinate. Don't even think about it. Gui Mei was stunned for a moment, Then he thought about it carefully and couldn't help but feel a little numb. Sir, the old subordinate with the highest cultivation level you mentioned, could it be that guy, the old poisonous creature? After hearing this, Yu Guan's face suddenly fell and he looked at Lin Rong, hoping that he could deny Lao Gui's guess. Faced with a ghost speculation, Lin Rong did not answer, but just smiled without comment. It's over. Yu Guan fell into despair when he saw this. Damn. How could it be that Guy Dugubo, when Yu Guanxi thought about the future, where she would have to be humble in front of Dugubo and try to please him in order to get the opportunity to practice unique skills, she couldn't help feeling disgusted. Old Yu Guangxin was feeling nauseous when he heard the ghost's hollow and emotionless voice. He turned around and found that the old ghost had come up to him and was looking at him seriously. Look, I made sacrifices for you, so you should also make some sacrifices for me, isn't it just a little friction? What's the big deal? You and the old poisonous creature can just find a chance to resolve the grudge between you two, right? As the saying goes, it's better to do it today than today. It's best to settle the grudge between you two, so that you won't be bullied by the old poisoner in the future. The old poisoner is in Diandu now, you should go there quickly. Remember, be nice and don't lose your temper. These words sounded so heartless that Yu Guan looked at the familiar yet unfamiliar old partner in front of him in disbelief. Yu Guan was speechless, looking down at the Kirantong Shanju in his hand, and then at the Narcissus Jade Muscle Bone in Gui Mei's hand. He immediately made up his mind and said through gritted teeth, "Fuck. Mom, no, I'm going to fight." That night in the living room of a rented house, Dugu Bo, I advise you not to go too far. Yu Guan suppressed his anger and said with a forced smile, "You want me to wash your feet? Why don't you just go die on the sofa?" Dugu Bo lay on the back of the sofa and said proudly, "It's up to you, you can wash it or not." How can the old man's approval be obtained so easily? Anyway, the choice of whether to learn the unique skills is yours, and I am not forcing you. After hearing this, Yu Guan took a deep breath and kept telling himself to hold back. He must hold back and wait until he was qualified to practice his unique skills before settling the score with the old poisonous creature. You can wash it if you want. Go to your room. Unexpectedly, Dugubo was unwilling to agree to even such a small request and rejected it outright. No, just in the hall. There's no outsider here, so why should you be embarrassed? The situation in the hall made Lin Rong decide to help Yu Guan. He got up from the sofa and left, saying, "I'm so sleepy, let's go back to my room and sleep." As soon as Lin Rong left, the old butler who had always been inseparable from him also left the hall. The two coachmen sitting at the edge of the hall also understood what was meant and left the hall quietly. Finally, before leaving the hall, Gimei gave Yu Guan an encouraging look, and then disappeared in the hall like a ghost. At this moment, Dugubo and Yu Guan were the only two people left in the hall. Although Dugubo was not satisfied with Lin Rong's approach of helping Yu Guan, he only dared to complain silently in his heart but never dared to say the complaints out loud. He dared not forget that at the Tang sect banquet 2 years ago, Lin Rong poisoned Bai He with a drop of essence of an unknown herb. This little adult may seem gentle, but his ruthlessness is beyond Dugubo's imagination. After waiting for a long time, seeing that Yu Guan had not made any movement, Dugubo urged, "No one is here, hurry up and wash." End of this chapter. Chapter 122. Yu Wangxin. On the second floor corridor, the ghost walked towards the door, intending to absorb the Narcissus Jade Muscle and Bones tonight. Zhihuaguan boasts that this magical product is so miraculous, I want to see if it is really that magical. With a creak, the ghost pushed open the door, walked in, turned around and closed the door at the same time. A subtle fluctuation appeared in his perception. Who? The ghost turned around suddenly and looked into the room with a wary look. In the dim room, a boy about 11 or 12 years old was sitting at the wooden table. A green lamp appeared in his hand, and the whole room instantly became much brighter. Seeing this, the ghost put down his guard and asked, "My lord, you are going to bed, aren't you, stupid? You believe that?" Lin Rong put the green lantern aside, looked at the ghost, and said seriously, "Let's talk about business. You have now surrendered to me. How are you going to explain this to Bibi Dong? You should know that Bibi Dong is not a broad-minded person. If you two trusted elders leave the spirit hall and leave her, the consequences will be very serious." The outside world's evaluation of Bibi Dong, the first female pope, is almost unanimous in its praise and eulogy, whether internally or externally. Bibi Dong always shows her rational, calm, and tolerant side to the world, but as Bibi Dong's confidant, and because of her martial spirit, she was sensitive to certain aspects. Guime had long since vaguely realized how crazy and narrow-minded Bibi Dong's heart was hidden beneath her elegant appearance. Of course, Guime knew what the consequences would be if he betrayed such a person. The best-case scenario is that he and Yu Yuan were banned by His Majesty, the Spirit Hall, and like the Xiaotian sect, were forced to live in seclusion and disappear from public view. Therefore, Guime's expression changed for a while, but when he saw Lin Rong's calm and composed look, he knew that he had already made plans, so he asked, "Sir, what you mean is, everything remains the same?" Lin Rong said softly, "The Spirit Hall doesn't know that you have surrendered to me. In that case, then you should stay in the Spirit Hall and stay by Bibi Dong's side and continue to be her confidants. It just so happens that I am still in need of a spy with status and position in the Spirit Hall. You and Yu Yuan are the most suitable. As senior elders of the Spirit Hall, you have high enough prestige and status to know most of the confidential events of the Spirit Hall. You are the perfect candidates to carry out undercover missions. Now is not the time to confront Spirit Hall. This is the best and most advantageous option. Now?" Guime caught these two words and couldn't help thinking, could it be that we will have to fight against the Spirit Hall in the future? As an elder of the Spirit Hall, Guime knows the strength of the Spirit Hall very well, not counting the numerous bishops and believers. There are more than 10 titled Douluo level masters alone, several elders in the Elder Hall whose soul power is between level 91 and 95, and 6 great priests in the Priest Hall whose soul power is above level 95. Finally, there is the Pope Bibi Dong, whose power is unfathomable. On the other hand, even if he and Yu Yuan are included, there are only 4 titled Douluo on their side. In terms of high-end combat power, they are far behind the Spirit Hall, but Guime knew that as a qualified subordinate, these things were not his concern, so he did not ask any more questions and followed Lin Rong's arrangements. "Yes, sir, Ghost understands." After receiving the ghostly answer, a faint silver-white light emanated from Lin Rong and then disappeared in the room. "Space. Soul skill," the ghost muttered, and a hint of envy flashed in his empty eyes. Afterwards, he walked over to the bed and sat down, took out the Narcissus jade muscle bone, and used the method Yu Yuan taught him, first swallowing the petals and then sucking the stamens, and then entering into meditation to refine the medicinal power that was dissolving in his body. On the top floor of the house is a large flat and an open-air balcony. At this moment, a ripple appeared in the space on the open-air balcony. The next moment, Lin Rong walked out of it and sat on the rattan swing built on the balcony, swinging. It was late at night, and the gentle spring breeze brought the fragrance of flowers to my nose. I sniffed the fresh and sweet fragrance, and my heart was filled with relaxation and comfort. Looking up at the night sky, there is a bright moon hanging high behind the top of the osmanthus tree, casting bits of moonlight into the courtyard. When is the bright moon? What night is it? Lin Rong swung on the swing, admiring the beautiful spring night, and was inspired. Since I awakened my martial soul, I haven't been able to calm down and appreciate the scenery around me for a long time. This Dian capital city is like spring all year round. It reminds me of the spring city in my previous life, which was also a beautiful city with spring all year round. Relax. In moderation, combine work and rest, and occasionally relax like this. It will improve your mood a lot. It's just that the 3rd level of Mazi is still a long way off. Sigh. With a long sigh, Lin Rong lowered his head and fell into deep thought. Hidden and revealed to save sentient beings. Hidden and revealed to save sentient beings. Hidden and revealed. What is hidden? What is revealed? How should we save sentient beings? As he thought about it, he had some vague ideas, but he couldn't grasp the main points. Inside the capital city of Yunnan, a black shadow that almost blended into the night flew over the rooftops, spanning half of the city, and finally stopped on the open-air balcony where Lin Rong was. The black shadow walked forward, revealing his gentle and kind old face under the moonlight. "Young Master, this old servant has personally delivered the visiting card to Marcus Yi." "Well, what Yu Wengxin said," Lin Rong said, waving his hand for the old butler to sit next to him. "The Yu Wengxin he mentioned is the heir to the title and patriarch of the Xiandao Yi family of this generation, and also Yu Lingling's father. The reason why Yu Wengxin appeared in the capital of Yunnan was naturally because he, like Yu Guan, was a senior flower and plant lover. No, it should be said that all the members of the Yi family have been lovers of flowers and plants for generations because of their martial spirit. The 9-hearted begonia historically Since the first 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference, successive heads of the Yi family have never missed this grand event held every 10 years therefore. The Yi family even bought a property in Yunnan's capital city as their place of residence during the 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference. This kind of real estate purchase is a very normal thing among aristocratic families. In fact, most of the aristocratic families with a long history will purchase real estate in various countries across the continent as part of their family heritage. The Yi family's property in Yunnan's capital was purchased thousands of years ago. Thousands of years passed as the venue for all the 100 Flowers Appreciation Conferences. It is no exaggeration to say that the land prices in Yunnan's capital city are extremely high, and very few people are willing to sell their properties, so much so that when his Lin family ancestors wanted to buy property in the capital of Yunnan, there was no land for sale. Even Yu Yuan, a titled Douluo, needed to rely on the connections of the local spirit hall headquarters in Diandu City to successfully get the house. When he bought it, when the old butler sat down beside him, he answered calmly, "We will meet at the manor at noon tomorrow to discuss in detail." Hearing this, Lin Rong seemed to be thinking about something and asked, "Let's meet at dinner time. I don't want to miss the appreciation meeting tomorrow, but didn't Yu Yuan ask you why I appeared here?" After hearing this question, the old butler thought for a while and answered gently, "Young master, Marcus, you didn't ask. I think this may be because your mother loved flowers and plants when she was alive. Madam came to the capital of Yunnan to participate in the last 100 Flowers Appreciation Conference, and Marcus, you knew about this, and he thought that you, young master, had inherited Madam's love for flowers and plants, so he did not ask me why you were here." As he spoke, the old butler seemed to remember something, and he smiled and touched the young master's head, saying, "Speaking of Madam, I remember that Marcus, you fell in love with Madam at first sight when she was young. At that time, Madam was only 15 years old and had not yet met the young master. However, because of the inheritance of the martial spirit of the Yi family, Marcus Yi eventually married a commoner woman under the arrangement of his father. After marriage, the couple soon had a daughter, Yi Lingling. The birth of Yi Lingling caused Madam Yi to lose her life, just like all the previous mistresses of the Yi family. 5 years later, the young master and his wife fell in love and got married. Yi Yuan, who had inherited the title of Marquess of the Yi family, attended the grand wedding of the marriage between the Lin family and the Dou family that year. At this point, the old housekeeper's voice was slightly choked, and his old face showed a look of reminiscence. At that time, the master was still alive, and the entire upper class of Xiandao City knew that Marcus Yi had fallen in love with a lady at first sight. Therefore, the master once instructed this old servant to keep an eye on Marcus Yi and not let him do anything irrational at the wedding. After I learned of the master's order, I stared at Marcus Yi throughout the wedding. Seeing that his eyes were always looking at Madam, I knew that he still had feelings for Madam. Fortunately, Marcus Yi knew his limits. He did not do anything out of line until the end of the wedding. Soon after the marriage, my wife became pregnant, but unfortunate things happened one after another. First, the young master died in a beast tied during the soul hunting process, and the old master also passed away when the lady was pregnant. Not long after you were born, young master, Madam became ill due to depression and excessive worry and went down to look for you to keep her company. At that time, you were still such a little kid. Time flies so fast. In the blink of an eye, you have grown up so big. After he finished speaking, the old butler's eyes were filled with tears, which flowed down the corners of his eyes, passed through his long beard and fell on Lin Rong's face. Feeling the old butler's warm fingertips sliding across his face, Lin Rong, because of his identity as a time traveler, was actually a little afraid to look directly into the old butler's sincere gaze. "Grandpa, you." Lin Rong lowered his head, trying to remain calm as much as possible, and kept telling himself that it was a rebirth and that this body had not yet formed consciousness when he traveled through time, in order to alleviate the guilt in his heart. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123, The Living Dead Ghost. Tell me about my parents and my grandfather. I think I'm old enough to know about my family's past. He did not choose to enter a state of mind to control his emotions, so the tone of this sentence sounded low and a little sad. After hearing this, the old butler saw that the young master lowered his head, So he wiped away his tears, reached out and held him in his arms, and told him about the past under the moonlight. Young master, I will start with the story of the master. The night passed in the morning. The sky is bright. Lin Rong woke up from her deep sleep and found herself lying on the bed, wearing comfortable pajamas. Really? I fell asleep while lying in Grandpa Yu's arms last night, listening to him. I threw back the quilt and climbed out of bed. Just as I was about to get out of bed, I saw the old butler pushing the door open with breakfast in his hand. Young master, you're awake. The old butler placed a breakfast on the table, walked to the bed and sat down, skillfully picked up the white towel that had been prepared on the bedside table, wet it in the wash basin filled with warm water, wrung it dry, and then wiped the young master's sleepy face. Although he was a time traveler, Lin Rong had long been accustomed to these things over the years. He sat on the bed blankly, allowing the old housekeeper to greet his face with a warm, wet towel. A few minutes later, PFFT Lin Rong spat out a mouthwash in his mouth and took the handkerchief handed to him by the old housekeeper to wipe the remaining water stains around his mouth. Lin Rong casually threw the used handkerchief into the trash can, looked at the old housekeeper, and asked in a somewhat nervous tone, Grandpa Yu, I didn't talk in my sleep last night, did I? Oh? Young master, do you have the habit of talking in your sleep? How come I don't know? He said this. The old butler frowned and searched his memory to see if the young master had ever talked in his sleep. Hearing this, Lin Rong was no longer nervous and thought to himself, it's fine if it doesn't, it's fine if it doesn't. Last night, he dreamed of scenes from his previous life. If he talked in his sleep, his identity as a time traveler would be revealed. Although he knew that due to the affection they had for each other for so many years, even if the old butler knew of his identity as a time traveler, he would still treat him as usual. But for this kind of thing, we should try our best not to let the old housekeeper know about it. If the time is right one day in the future, he will consider telling Grandpa Yu about his identity as a time traveler. Seeing that the old butler was still thinking about this matter, Lin Rong pulled his beard and said, Okay, Grandpa Yu, don't think too much, I'm just talking casually. I'm hungry now, you should bring breakfast over first. After hearing this, the old housekeeper stopped thinking about it, turned around, brought the breakfast on the table to the bed, and told an interesting story. Young master, when I went to the kitchen to make breakfast this morning, I saw Yu Yuan fiddling with something in the kitchen. From what I can see, it was Duuluo who asked Yu Yuan to cook for him. However, this guy obviously had never cooked before and almost set the kitchen on fire. In the end, Yu Yuan learned something from watching the old slave making breakfast, and then he followed his example and managed to make a decent meal. Lin Rong swallowed the snack in his mouth, recalled what happened last night, and complained speechlessly. He used his hands to wash his feet last night, and he cooked with them this morning. What was going on in Duuluo's mind? How could he eat such food? Wouldn't he feel disgusted? Dining room on the first floor. Duuluo sat at the dinner table, looking at the black dish in front of him, his face full of black lines, and asked, You call this a golden scroll? Are you kidding me? Across the table, Yu Yuan slammed the table hard upon hearing this and refuted without any hesitation, This is the first time in my life that I've cooked in the kitchen. I'm already gifted to be able to cook like this. Just be content. Besides, you asked me to cook. The snacks are right here. Don't be ungrateful, you. No, you are the first person in the world who has the honor of tasting the snacks I made. This is an honor that even old ghosts don't have. Anyway, I've prepared the breakfast you wanted. If you like it, eat it. If you don't want to eat it, forget it. However, if you don't eat, I will risk giving up the opportunity to practice my unique skills and will not obey your orders anymore. After saying that, Yu Yuan imitated Duuluo's behavior last night and leaned back on the chair in a very arrogant manner. Damn it. Duuluo cursed inwardly. In order to be able to order Yu Yuan to do things in the future, he picked up a piece of black pastry with a look of disgust, gritted his teeth and swallowed it. When Lin Rong put on her clothes with the help of the old housekeeper and walked downstairs, she saw this scene and couldn't help but sigh in her heart. As expected of you, you are the old poisoner. This nickname is not for nothing. Your ability to resist poison is really strong. You can even eat this. Walking to the dining table and finding a chair to sit down, Lin Rong looked at Duuluo's expression, which did not change, pointed at the black dish on the table, and asked curiously, Don't you think this thing tastes bad at all? Duuluo did not answer after hearing this. Instead, he silently picked up a glass of water and drank it all. Answering the question with his action. Seeing this, Lin Rong immediately understood. Okay, I understand. In fact, Yu Yuan also knew what his food tasted like. After all, as the person who made this dish of dessert, he had tasted a piece of it himself precisely because he knew how it tasted. He would try every possible means to make Dugubo eat it. Moreover, if it was Dugubo who complained about the taste after eating, he would definitely refute it, but the one who started to complain was his current master, so Yu Yuan gave up the idea of refutation in order to get into the topic. Yu Yuan looked around, pretended to have noticed something, and asked curiously, "Strange, the old ghost never sleeps in, why hasn't he come down yet?" Although he asked this, Yu Yuan actually knew the reason why the ghost absorbed the Narcissus jade bones last night, and was still in meditation and practice at this moment because his room was right next to the ghost's. He could easily sense the unique scent of the magical herbs emanating from the ghost's room. Originally, Yu Yuan also wanted to absorb the Kirantong Xianju, but he changed his mind and realized that he had just made a breakthrough and his aura could not be completely restrained, so he would definitely not be able to hide it from the old poisonous creature's eyes. Who knows if the old poisonous creature will become even more jealous and order him around after learning about his breakthrough. Therefore, after careful consideration, Yu Yuan decided to get the approval of the old poison first in the next few days. It would not be too late to absorb the Kirantong Xianju. After that, the second floor, the old ghost in Yu Guangqiao underwent significant changes in his body after absorbing the Narcissus jade muscle and bones because of the bizarre experience in childhood. The ghost's body was abnormally thin and his skin was as pale as a person who had drowned, without any blood color at this moment. Under the effect of Narcissus jade muscle and bone medicine's nourishing and tendon replenishing effect, the ghost's dead tendons and bones were nourished, and his thin body returned to normal shape at the same time. Under the effect of the Narcissus jade muscle and bone medicine's ability to open the 8 extraordinary meridians, the ghost's body gradually began to regain the activity of a living person from the state of the living dead. The face, which was as pale as a deathly person, began to have a rosy tint. Ever since the bizarre resurrection from the dead, the ghost no longer had any body temperature. But now its cold body has also risen to the temperature of a living person. When the ghost finished his meditation and opened his eyes, his empty eyes actually sparkled with a lively luster after feeling the incredible changes in himself. Gimli scratched the skin on the palm of his hand with his sharp fingertips, and immediately a slight pain appeared in his perception. It's been so many years, I can't even remember how long it's been since I last felt pain, so long that I almost forgot what pain feels like, the ghost said happily, and his tone was no longer as cold and ruthless as before, but turned back into normal human voice. Immortal product, with such miraculous effects, it is indeed worthy of the title of immortal product. No wonder Jehuagwan praises these immortal herbs so highly and wants to praise them to the sky. The effect of this Narcissus jade muscle and bone is indeed worthy of Jehuagwan's boasting. Once my body is fully restored to normal under the effect of Narcissus jade muscle and bone, my soul power cultivation will be able to break through to level 96 naturally. The medicinal power of Narcissus jade muscle and bone dissolved into his flesh, blood, and bones, but due to his special physique, it could only be absorbed slowly. Gimli estimated that this process would probably last for half a year. He has been a living dead for so long, it's only half a year, he can afford to wait. He got off the bed and came to a dressing mirror. Looking at his changed self in the mirror, the ghost gently stroked his flushed face and couldn't help saying, "It has changed so much, I don't know if Jehuagwan is still recognizable. Let's go downstairs and take a look." First floor. Hearing footsteps coming from the stairs, Yu Yuan, who was sitting in the dining room, immediately looked over. "Old ghost? Who are you?" Old ghost, looking at the well-proportioned, fair-skinned, and handsome middle-aged man in front of him, Yu Yuan jumped up from his chair, widened his eyes, and said in disbelief, "No, that's impossible. I remember that Narcissus jade muscle and bone is not some magical beauty drug. How did you become like this? You are so much more handsome than me." When he said this, his tone became sour. Seeing Yu Yuan's big reaction, Dugubo, who was sitting next to him, turned his head curiously, watching the ghost with a changed appearance walk to the table, and thought to himself, "Is this guy really an old ghost?" But the Narcissus jade muscle and bone, as soon as I heard it, I knew it was some rare treasure they got from the adults. But you have quite a few good things in your hands. Originally, there was the unknown white herb that looked like a swan's neck, and now there is also the Narcissus jade muscle bone. It's Just that Zhehuaguan swept my medicinal garden clean, including the roots and soil, and didn't find the herbs that made the old ghost change so much. So where did you get these things, sir? End of this chapter. Chapter 124 Divinity. Dugubo just couldn't figure out this matter, so he simply stopped thinking about it and turned to care about another thing. Sir, you see, we have stayed in Diandu for a few days. It is time to leave here and continue to move south. As he spoke, Dugubo glanced at Yu Guan without leaving a trace, without saying where they were going or what they were going to do. After all, he didn't want Zhehuaguan to know that he was poisoned. If Zhehuaguan knew about this, things would be terrible. A titled Douluo who plays with poison was poisoned by his own spirit. Dugubo could imagine the ugly look on Zhehuaguan's face when he found out about this. Therefore, this matter must not be leaked. Dugubo had already made plans. After Yang Wudi cured his poison, as long as he didn't let anything slip, Zhehuaguan wouldn't know about it. No. Hurry. At the dining table, Lin Rong supported his head with one hand and said leisurely, I have things to do today, so I have to wait until tomorrow to leave. The conversation between the two of them aroused Yu Guan's curiosity, and he thought, there is such a fair and open opportunity to instruct me, but this old poisoner doesn't even want to stay for a few more days, but is anxious to leave. What on earth is so important? While I was thinking, a breeze blew in from the window, causing the morning glory growing on the wall to sway slightly. The elegant fragrance blew into Yu Guan's nostrils with a breeze, attracting him to look out the window. Listening to the faint noise coming from outside the courtyard, Yu Guan remembered that today was the day of the Flower Appreciation Conference. So many things happened yesterday that were so shocking that he almost forgot the purpose of coming to Yunnan's capital. Well, it's a good thing that old poison is in a hurry to leave. At least he won't disturb me from participating in the flower viewing meeting. This is a grand event that only happens once every 10 years. I can't let this guy ruin my good mood. I wonder what new flower species worth collecting these gardeners have cultivated at this year's conference. I'm really looking forward to it. Lin Rong is not very interested in gardening. Dugubo had no interest in these flowers and plants. Therefore, among their group, only Gimli was dragged by Yu Guan to the central garden of Diandu City to participate in the flower viewing conference. Soon, a morning past noon, in front of a manor in the south of Dan capital city, Yi Wengxin, who had just returned from the central garden, was waiting here in person to welcome the distinguished guests. Looking at the face in front of him, which was 50% similar to the figure in his memory, Yu Wen was in a trance for a moment and didn't know how to address the other person. Marcus. Yi, long time no see. Upon seeing this, Lin Rong greeted the other party first, with a standard smile on his childish face, which was fake but impeccable. This childish voice brought Yi Wengxin back to reality. After calming down, he returned the greeting. Duke Lin, please come in. As they spoke, the group walked deeper into the manor. When the ancestor of the Yi family bought this property, it was just to have a fixed residence. Therefore, the manor is not very big. As he walked in, Lin Rong looked around and found that the flowers and plants planted here were all very common varieties. No one was sent to trim them, and they were allowed to grow wildly. Walking among them was as fresh and natural as being in a primeval forest. Seeing Lin Rong looking at his own manor, Yi Wengxin's eyes flashed and he said, we in the Yi family are different from most other flower and plant lovers. Most people in the world are interested in rare, unique and beautiful flower and plant species. Compared to this, we in the Yi family prefer the way flowers and plants grow luxuriantly and freely, unrestrained and full of vitality. Few people share the same love for flowers and plants as our Yi family does, but your mother happens to be one of the few flower and plant lovers like our Yi family. Your Lin family ancestors had little interest in flowers and plants. The fact that you came to Dian capital must be because you inherited your mother's love for flowers and plants. Hearing this, Lin Rong just walked in silently and did not choose to tell Yi Wengxin that he was actually not very interested in flowers and plants. Love the house and love the dog. With this filter in place, it would be much easier to persuade Yi Wengxin to submit to him. 2/4 of an hour later, they took a boat to an island in the middle of a lake. Deep in the manor in the center of the island in the middle of the lake, a group of people sat down around the dining table one by one, and the servants brought plates of dishes and placed them on the table in an orderly manner. Looking at the various delicacies brought to the table by the servants, the old butler moved his lips slightly and said to Lin Rong, young master, these dishes are what Madame loved to eat when she was alive, especially the crucian carp soup in front of you, which was Madame's favorite when she was alive. After listening to the old housekeeper's message, Lin Rong was speechless for a moment, and after a while he uttered 3 words, That's thoughtful. It was indeed thoughtful. Yi Wengxin not only knew his mother's food preferences, but he also had not forgotten them. After so many years, a servant walked up to Lin Rong, picked up the bowl and was about to serve him soup. When the old butler saw this, he signaled to the servant to hand the bowl to him, and he would do these things for the young master himself soon. A bowl of fish soup that was 7/10 full was served. A spoon was put into the bowl and placed on the table in front of Lin Rong. Across the table, Yu Wengxin picked up the soup bowl and said with a smile, "Actually, I like this fish soup myself." After saying that, he lowered his head and blew on the soup, then began to drink it in small sips. Hearing this, Lin Rong's expression was very subtle, and he thought to himself, "Haha, I believe you," but on the surface, he still picked up the spoon, scooped up a spoonful of fish soup, put it to his mouth, blew it gently, and then drank it. In terms of food preferences, although Lin Rong has more or less inherited the taste preferences of his parents in this life, he has also been influenced by the food preferences of his previous life. He neither likes nor hates fish soup. Even so, he had to admit that the crucian carp soup was delicious and cooked to just the right temperature. The crucian carp meat in the soup was tender and tasty, and the meat was not tough at all. Although this crucian carp soup was his mother's favorite dish when she was alive, the chef in the mansion had never cooked any kind of fish soup because of his own dietary preferences. Therefore, this was the first time he drank crucian carp soup. After finishing the soup, they both tacitly did not pick up their chopsticks and looked at each other. Of the two, Yu Wengxin asked first, "Duke Lin came to visit today. I wonder why he came? Can you tell me something?" After asking, seeing that Lin Rong had no intention of replying, Yu Wengxin waved his hand to signal the servants standing around them to retreat. Soon, the servants left one after another, and after a while, only he and the master and servant opposite him were left. "Besides you and me, there's only your housekeeper left here. I think it's time to say it now." In response, Lin Rong still did not answer, but released his innate domain, which turned into a sky blue light shield that covered the open-air restaurant. Although Yu Wengxin, who was sitting opposite, was a little surprised, he did not make any move. He sat quietly in his seat waiting for what Lin Rong would say next. "Xian Dao, no, it should be said that among all the nobles in the entire continent, only your Yu family and our Lin family have few members. Therefore, I think our two families are still very predestined." Lin Rong first said these words to get closer, and then said, "According to seniority, I should call you uncle. Uncle Yi, if a war breaks out in the future and all the prominent forces on the continent need to take sides, what will your Yu family choose?" Faced with this question, Yu Wengxin hesitated for a moment and answered decisively, "Of course I will fight to the end with my country. Even if I die, I will have no regrets." But, Lin, why did nephew Lin ask this? Did he get some inside information? Hearing this question, Lin Rong just shook his head slightly and waved his hands to indicate insider information. There is no inside information at all, because this is something that is bound to happen in the future. Since you have decided to fight with Xian Dao to the end, then, if the person sitting on the throne is not Zhu Yi, not anyone in the Zhu family, but me in front of you, will Uncle Yu still make the choice just now? Such outrageous remarks made Yu Wengxin feel frightened. He broke out in a cold sweat and subconsciously turned his head to look around. Seeing the azure light shield around him, Yu Wengxin breathed a sigh of relief, took out a handkerchief to wipe the cold sweat from his forehead, and said in a trembling voice, "Duke Lin, please don't joke with me. Raising an army to rebel and usurp the throne will bring you infamy for eternity. Besides, what makes you think you can successfully seize the throne? Apart from other factors, the royal knights controlled by the royal family alone is a mountain that you cannot overcome. Why?" Upon hearing this, Lin Rong smiled indifferently and took the initiative to activate the divinity that had been nurtured in his body for nearly 2 years. As the divinity in his body was stimulated, Lin Rong's temperament underwent a drastic change. Humanity retreats and divinity emerges. There was no longer any expression on his childish face, and his dark eyes were filled with indifference towards all living things. An overbearing and majestic aura emanated from Lin Rong, and his long hair fluttered in the wind, giving people the impression that he was a god who was born to be above all living beings. "I am the only one who is supreme in heaven and on earth." Yu Wengxin looked at Lin Rong, whose temperament had changed drastically, and he suddenly felt like worshipping her. He was so frightened that he quickly bit the tip of his tongue to keep his mind clear. Lin Rong did not speak, but his indifferent voice echoed in the surrounding space. "This power that transcends common sense is a divinity that only gods can possess. Is that a good enough answer? Tell me your choice." The Indifferent voice was mixed with spiritual power, and with the blessing of divinity, it entered into the depths of Yi Wengxin's heart and continued to echo. End of this chapter. Chapter 125 Surrender. Yi Wengxin already had a good impression of Lin Rong because of Lin Rong's mother at this moment. After sensing the divine aura emanating from Lin Rong, the martial soul nine-hearted begonia in his body was released uncontrollably, swaying its petals in worship towards the front. This made Yi Wengxin understand that the so-called divinity that Lin Rong mentioned might be true, so, under the urging of the voice in his heart, he quickly made a choice. You are Yu Yuan's son, so of course I, your uncle, stand on your side. Yu Yuan, whose full name is Yu Yuan, is Lin Rong's mother. Yi Wengxin's words were a disguised expression of submission. As soon as these words were spoken, the divinity emanating from Lin Rong instantly dissipated. The human nature was revealed while the divine nature was hidden, and the whole person returned to his gentle appearance in an instant. If Yi Wengxin hadn't been holding the nine-hearted begonia in his hand, he would have almost thought that everything that had just happened was an illusion. Phew, that was close. Although Lin Rong had a gentle and calm expression, his inner emotions were fluctuating. The divinity in my body is still too weak. It can no longer be maintained after only showing it for a short while. If Yi Wengxin had made her choice a few more seconds later, my half-baked divinity would have been exposed, but there is no other way. I don't have anything that the Yi family cares about. If I want to subdue them, I can only take risky measures. The Yi family has few members because of their martial spirit, the nine-hearted begonia. So what they care about most is of course something that can break the curse of the nine-hearted begonia. In this kind of situation, Lin Rong estimated that apart from the gods of this world, only the Acacia Heartbreak Red could break the curse of the nine-hearted begonia. However, Acacia Heartbreak Red is one of the two essential items for his martial soul avatar, and it is absolutely impossible for him to give it out to break the curse for the Yi family. Originally, Lin Rong just wanted to give it a try, and did not choose to use the method just now. The reason why he used the method just now was because he learned from the old housekeeper about Yi Wengxin's feelings for his mother. This incident not only greatly increased Lin Rong's confidence in conquering the Yi family, but also gave him the confidence to take a risky move. Lin, Your Excellency the Duke. Yi Wengxin spoke with some discomfort. Although he expressed his submission, he still had some concerns in his heart, so he asked, replacing the Zhou family and becoming the new royal family is not an easy task. Do you have a well thought out and detailed plan? In this regard, Lin Rong said, you don't need to worry too much. I won't attack the royal family openly. The downfall of the royal family will be borne by others. I will only ascend to the Xiaotian throne openly and honestly after the fall of the royal family and through the competition among the 10 great families with my absolute strength. So, you can rest assured. Besides, as a healing spirit master, you are not needed in the current situation. Your real stage will be on the battlefield in the future. Now, your most important task is to cultivate your soul power with all your strength and break through to the soul Douluo realm as much as possible before the war comes. As he spoke, Lin Rong took out a booklet containing Xiaotian Gong and ZG Demon Pupil and handed it to Yi Wengxin, explaining, there are 2 exercises in this booklet, one for cultivating soul power and one for cultivating mental power. You will know the specific effects after you practice. You can teach this method to your daughter, but you must remember it and remind her again and again not to reveal these 2 skills to others. Yi Wengxin is 42 years old this year and a level 73 soul saint. A soul saint in his early 40s is already quite young in the world of soul masters. The cultivation speed of auxiliary martial spirits is the slowest among all types of martial spirits. As a healing martial soul in the auxiliary branch, the nine-hearted begonia's cultivation speed is extremely slow. Yi Wengxin was able to break through to level 70 at the age of 40, not only because he had an innate soul power of up to level 8.5, after his father's death, the 2 family soul bones he inherited were also crucial to improving his qualifications according to his training speed. It would take at least 10 years to break through to level 80. Seeing that Lin Rong was so cautious about this so-called martial arts method, Yi Wengxin took the booklet and opened it to take a look. The tongue-twisting sentences in it made him feel a little dizzy as it was his first time reading the secret formula of the martial arts method. Although he couldn't understand some of it, the profound mantra made him look forward to this so-called martial art more. By the way, I have something I want to ask you. Lin Rong suddenly remembered that in the original novel, Tang Hao once mentioned that a title Douluo of the healing department had treated him but was unable to cure his injuries. Logically speaking, a title Douluo, especially a title Douluo of the healing department, should be famous throughout the continent, But why is it that he has lived in this world for more than 10 years, but no news about him has been heard at all? So he asked. Legend has it that there is a title Douluo of the healing department in the world today. As a family with healing spirits, you should know something about this person. This made Yi Wengxin frown. After thinking hard for a long time, he still had no idea and replied, "Is there such a legend? Why have I never heard of it?" However, regardless of whether there is such a legend, there has never been a record of a title Douluo of the auxiliary department in the history of the continent, let alone a title Douluo of the healing department. In terms of healing ability, the martial soul inherited by my family, the nine-hearted begonia, is unique in healing, and no one can match its effect. It is no exaggeration to say that my Yi family is the strongest healing spirit master family on the continent. If it weren't for the martial spirit curse that has made the population sparse, the title of the world's #1 auxiliary martial spirit would definitely belong to the nine-hearted begonia. If there really has been a title Douluo of the healing department in this world, it can only be an ancestor of my Yi family. But I remember very clearly that among all the ancestors of my Yi family, the one with the highest cultivation level was only level 89 soul power, and was stuck at the soul power bottleneck of level 90 and could not break through the last step. After hearing this explanation, Lin Rong had an idea in mind and said casually, "Is that so? Perhaps I heard it from some passerby who was talking nonsense while I was driving through the streets. Come to think of it, there are only a few title Douluo in this world. How could there be an unknown title Douluo of the healing department?" But in my heart I complained, if such a simple method as cutting off one's own limbs and draining away the blood can cure Tang Hao's injuries, it is estimated that Yu Wengxin, who is at the soul sage level, can cure Tang Hao. How could a title Douluo of the healing department not be able to cure him? In the original novel, the one Tang Hao met was probably a fake healing title Douluo, or maybe Tang Hao himself made up this imaginary existence. Lin Rong shook his head speechlessly, dissipated his innate field, returned to his seat, and continued to enjoy the delicious food that was still warm on the table after finishing the meal. Lin Rong did not stay here for long. He left the manor with the old housekeeper and returned to the house they rented in Diandu City top floor, third floor. On the bed, Lin Rong sat cross-legged, practicing the Zisa Sutra to cultivate his soul power. At this moment, 2 months had passed since he broke through level 60. The soul power that was at the peak of level 64 2 months ago has now been cultivated to the peak of level 65, and is almost able to break through to level 66. The breakthrough should happen in the next few days. The journey between Dian capital and Yufeng city will take at least 3 days by carriage. 3 days. This period of time is enough for me to break through my soul power to level 66. I remember that in the original novel, when Tang San faced Yang Wudi, his spirit power cultivation was also at level 66. What a coincidence. However, Tang San will already be 20 years old by then, and I still have nearly a month to go before I turn 11. The washing Marrow Sutra played an important role in creating such a huge gap with this big hanging wall. Moreover, after listening to Grandpa Yu's story about his relatives passed in this life last night, the bottleneck of the third realm of the Zisa Sutra, hidden and revealed to save all living beings, actually shook a little. The text of the Zisa Sutra states that the prerequisite for reaching the state of hiding and revealing to save all living beings is to cultivate one's own state to the point of freedom and unhinderedness. I could get to this point before, and I didn't understand what I was missing. Now it seems that because of my identity as a time traveler, I have always avoided knowing the affairs of my relatives in this life. How can I be truly free and unhindered? Now, the reason why I cannot reach the bottleneck of the realm of hidden and revealed to save all living beings has been found. Breaking through this realm is only a matter of time. The afternoon passed quickly soon. In the evening, as the sun set in the west, Yu Guan and Gimra Yi walked back, dragging 2 long shadows under their feet because Lin Rong will leave Diandu City tomorrow, and Yu Guan and Ji Yuimei will return to the spirit hall to work undercover. After that they would not be able to see each other for a long time. Therefore, under Lin Rong's kind persuasion, Yu Guan directly obtained the recognition of Dugubo and obtained the qualification to practice the unique skills as the standard 3-piece set of the Tang Sect's 6 unique skills. Zuanshenguang, Ziji Demon Eye, and Ghost Shadow Mizan were naturally all taught to Yu Guan Gimra Yi among them. The unique body movement skill Ghost Shadow Mystery has a very high degree of compatibility with the ghosts and spirits. After obtaining the unique skill, you just need to briefly review it and you will be able to perform it in a similar manner. Looking at the ghosts showing off their skills in front of Yu Guan, Lin Rong warned, "Remember, Before Tiandao changes its master, try not to let Tang San see you know these things. After hearing this, the ghost thought quickly and answered, Sir, is it because these unique skills come from the Tang sect? Hearing this, Lin Rong nodded in affirmation given Tang San's character. If he knew that the Tang sect's unique skills had been leaked, he would definitely spend a lot of time to find out the truth. This will greatly slow down this guy's training speed, and by then his soul power level will not be enough, and Tang San will not be qualified to compete with Jin Ringsu. Therefore, Lin Rong felt it was necessary to remind him of this matter, even though the probability of Yu Yuan and Gimli appearing in front of Tang San was very small. End of this chapter. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.